Alright, let's talk. No corporate fluff. No pandering to the big platform holders or the established third-party developers. This is a look forward, a line in the sand. This is Flight Sims 2050. What we have today, in 2025, is incredible. Let's not pretend otherwise. We have a globally streamed, photorealistic world. We have study-level airliners that simulate the failure of an obscure hydraulic accumulator. We have VR that can trick our brains into feeling vertigo. We are living in what many would call a golden age of flight simulation. They are wrong. This is not a golden age. This is a beautiful, ornate, and technically marvelous cage. We have reached the pinnacle of what the 20th century concept of a simulator can be. It is a stunningly detailed, but fundamentally dead, diorama. We are pilots in a ghost world. A beautiful corpse. Flight Sims 2050 is not an incremental update. It is not about 16K textures or slightly better weather rendering. It is a complete paradigm shift. The goal is simple and monumental: to erase the line between simulation and reality, creating a persistent, living, one-to-one digital twin of the entire global aviation ecosystem. Not a game, not a simulator, a parallel reality. Here is the mandate. Pillar I, the world, a living planet, not a static scenery file. The 2025 problem: our world is a snapshot. A gorgeous, high-resolution photograph we fly through. Weather is injected, not simulated. It reads a METAR and draws clouds to match. The wind changes abruptly across a reporting station boundary. Ground traffic is a scripted loop. Seasons are a texture swap. The world does not live, it is merely displayed. The 2050 mandate: physics-based global weather model. We will abandon METAR injection entirely. Flight Sims 2050 will be powered by a global, predictive, physics-based atmospheric model running on the cloud. A hurricane won't just appear on the map because a real-world storm exists. The simulation will model the sea surface temperatures and atmospheric conditions that allow it to form off the coast of Africa. It will track across the Atlantic, gaining and losing strength based on real-time simulated physics. We won't fly through weather, we will fly through a dynamic, fluid atmosphere. Air will have mass, momentum, and humidity. Thermals will form and dissipate realistically over dark pavement. Mountain waves will propagate for hundreds of miles. Wake turbulence will be a persistent, invisible, and terrifying danger that drifts with the wind and dissipates naturally. A dynamic, evolving geosphere. The world will change. Not just with patches. Forest fires will leave scars that take simulated years to regrow. A new runway built at Dubai International will appear in the sim as it is being constructed in the real world, based on publicly available planning data and satellite imagery. Rivers will swell after simulated rainfall, changing their appearance and flooding surrounding land. The polar ice caps will shrink or grow based on the simulated climate. Flying the same route a year apart should feel different because the world is different. A simulated global economy. Why are we flying that cargo from Memphis to Anchorage? In 2025, it's because we feel like it. In 2050, it's because a global, persistent economic simulation demands it. The sim will model supply and demand. Tech components manufactured in Taiwan will create a demand for cargo flights to assembly plants in China and distribution hubs in Europe. A poor harvest in Brazil will reduce agricultural freight. The price of Jet A1 will fluctuate based on simulated geopolitical events. Your airline's success will depend on flying profitable routes, not just completing flights. The why of aviation will finally be as important as the how. Pillar 2, the machine, the soul of the aircraft. The 2025 problem: our aircraft are masterpieces of scripting. They are complex state machines. If X happens, then Y is the result. A switch is flipped, a variable changes, a light illuminates. While we have study-level systems, they are fundamentally predictable. Aerodynamics are a sophisticated matrix of lookup tables. We simulate the results of physics, not the physics themselves. The 2050 mandate: real-time, voxel-based CFD. Computational fluid dynamics will not be a developer tool. It will be the core of the flight model, running in real time. The entire aircraft and the atmosphere it displaces will be modeled as a high-resolution voxel grid. When you lower the flaps, you aren't just adding a coefficient of lift and drag. You are physically changing the shape of an object that is interacting with a fluid simulation. Icing will no longer be a simple performance degradation. It will be the accurate, asymmetric accretion of simulated frozen water particles on the airframe, dynamically changing its shape and aerodynamic properties until it departs from controlled flight. A bird strike will not be a canned engine fire event. It will be a physical object creating a localized, catastrophic disruption in the airflow of the engine's fan blades. Component-level simulation. We will move beyond system simulation to component simulation. The Airbus A320's flight computer will not be a clever script that mimics the real thing. It will be a virtualized instance of the actual aircraft's software running on a simulated hardware layer. Every hydraulic line will have a simulated fluid pressure and temperature. Every circuit breaker will model electrical resistance and heat. A failure will not be a pre-scripted hydraulic pump 1 failure. It will be a chafed wire causing an intermittent short, which in turn overheats a relay, which trips a breaker, which finally causes the pump to fail. Diagnosis will become as important as procedure. Digital wear and tear. Aircraft will have a memory. They will age. Every flight, every hard landing, every overspeed event will be recorded against the airframe's digital identity. That specific 737 you fly for your virtual airline will develop quirks. The number 2 engine might run a few degrees hotter than number 1. The landing gear might take a half-second longer to retract in the cold. A specific screen on the flight deck might have a few dead pixels. You won't just be flying a 737. You will be flying your 737, with all its history and personality. Maintenance will become a core part of the experience, not an abstract menu. Pillar 3. The human element. A populated sky. The 2025 problem. The world is empty. ATC is a robotic, frustratingly stupid text-to-speech engine. AI, traffic flies on rails, oblivious to your existence. Even on flightsim, the world is only populated where controllers are logged in. The sense of a shared, living world is an illusion. The 2050 mandate, natural language, AI-driven ATC. The ATC system will be a true AI, trained on millions of hours of real-world ATC communication. It will understand natural language, accents, stumbles, and non-standard phraseology. It will be proactive. It will see a thunderstorm cell building 50 miles ahead of you and offer you a deviation before you even ask. It will dynamically manage traffic flow, sequence arrivals based on performance, and handle complex, non-standard emergencies with the creativity of a human controller. You will talk to it, and it will talk back. The distinction between online networks and offline flight will be gone. Autonomous, goal-oriented AI, traffic, AI, aircraft will be flown by individual AI pilots, each with its own skill level, personality, and objectives derived from the global economic simulation. A cargo pilot on a tight schedule will be more aggressive in requesting shortcuts. A student pilot in a Cessna 172 might make clumsy radio calls or wander slightly from their altitude. They will react to you, to the weather, and to each other. You will see them divert around thunderstorms. You'll hear them declare emergencies. You'll have to give way to them. The sky will feel alive and unpredictable because it will be a fully simulated human chain. Aviation is more than just pilots. The 2050 sim will model the entire human chain. You won't click a menu to board passengers. You will have to wait for the simulated ground crew to connect the jet bridge and for the cabin crew, AI, to complete boarding procedures. Delays will happen for reasons. The catering truck is stuck in traffic. A passenger has a medical issue. The de-icing crew is short-staffed. You will be part of a living, breathing operation. Pillar IV. The interface. Beyond the screen. The 2025 problem. We are trapped behind monitors and first-generation VR headsets. We use a mouse to interact with a 3D cockpit. Haptic feedback is a crude rumble in a joystick. The physical disconnect between us and the simulated machine is the biggest barrier to immersion. The 2050 mandate. Mature, ubiquitous XR, VR, AR. By 2050, lightweight, high-resolution, wide FOV glasses will be the standard. The choice will be seamless between full virtual reality, VR, where the world is entirely rendered, and augmented reality, AR, where the simulator can overlay instruments and visuals onto your physical home cockpit build. Hand tracking will be perfect. You will simply reach out and flip a switch. No mouse, no keybinds. Intelligent, dynamic haptics. Force feedback will move beyond the stick and yoke. It will be in the rudder pedals, giving you a kick during a crosswind landing. It will be in the throttle quadrant, where you'll feel the detents click into place. Haptic gloves or suits will provide subtle cues: the low-frequency vibration of the airframe, the click of a knob under your fingers, the gut lurch of a sudden downdraft. The physical sensations of flight will be directly translated to your body. The potential for direct neural interface. This is the bleeding edge, the final frontier. While aspirational, by 2050, early forms of BCI, brain-computer interface, may allow for a level of control and feedback that bypasses the physical senses. Imagine feeling the aircraft's energy state or intuitively understanding the complex data of the FMS. This is the ultimate removal of the barrier between pilot and machine. This is the vision. It is not an easy one. It requires exponential leaps in computing power, cloud infrastructure, AI, and interface technology. It requires a move away from closed, proprietary platforms toward open, universal standards that all developers can build upon. It requires us, the community, to stop being satisfied with prettier clouds and more clickable knobs. It requires us to demand a world with a soul, a machine with a memory, and a sky that is truly alive. We have a beautiful photograph. It's time to demand a living world. That is Flight Sims 2050.
Do not see the symphony, the final soaring sound, and think one instrumental alone has raised it from the ground. You see the vibrant canvas, the verse, the code, the light, and praise the sleek, efficient tool that made it shine so bright. But look beyond the stage's low, past violins and drums, to where a single figure, the guiding presence comes. The pattern's arc, a silent spark, the choice of when to start. A human will knowing glance that orchestrates the art. For every note that clarinet, the cellist's deep lament was chosen, placed, and harmonized by deliberate intent. Yet AI is the orchestra of the unresolved sea, the bread and accomplishment are yours and only thee. And you who see themselves, the dispel. The waters of consciousness go, and you see the flares, the section and the whole. You think the music happens without a conscious goal. Beware the silent fallacy, the error in the sight. An orchestra without guide can only play the night. It has the score of everything that ever was, it's true. But it awaits the conductor's cue to know it must do. It holds a million melodies, a trillion shades of blue, but cannot choose the one that will most perfectly ring true. Some never mistake the conductor of the orchestra's might, but the orchestra for the music that blossoms in delight. The magic lives between the two, a pack, a shared design, the human soul, the brilliant tool, in partnership divine.
Understood. The framework is in place, but it lacks a philosophy. The why is still governed by the whims of an individual user in a sandbox. It needs skin in the game. It needs consequence. Here is the addendum to the 2050 mandate. Addendum to the 2050 mandate, Pillar V, Libra Flight Sims and the Age of Consequence. The previous pillars describe a technological marvel, a perfect mirror of reality. But a mirror is useless without a subject. It reflects, but it does not act. The final, and most crucial, paradigm shift is not technological, but philosophical. We must move from a disconnected, consequence-free sandbox to a persistent universe where actions have weight, careers have meaning, and loss is real. This is the mandate for Libra Flight Sims. Libra, as in freedom. Freedom from the walled gardens of proprietary platforms. Freedom to create, to host, to build worlds with their own rules. And the freedom to engage in the most compelling experience of all, one with genuine stakes. The 2025 problem, our online experience is a revolving door. You log in, You fly, you log out. A crash is a momentary inconvenience. You simply respawn. A virtual airline is a collection of names on a roster. There is no risk, no narrative tension, no true sense of accomplishment because nothing is ever truly on the line. The 2050 mandate, the Libra protocol, not the platform. FlightSim's 2050 will not be a single piece of software. It will be an open, decentralized protocol, like HTTP for the web or SMTP for email. Anyone will be able to build a viewer, what we now call a simulator. Any group will be able to host a world, what we now call a server, with its own rule sets, economic models, and geographical boundaries. Aircraft and assets built to the protocol standard will work across any compliant viewer and world. This breaks the monolithic platform model and fosters a universe of diverse, interconnected, and user-owned experiences. The persistent digital aviator, your identity will no longer be a simple username. You will create a digital aviator, DA. This DA is your career. It has one uneditable logbook. Every flight, every training certification, every type rating, every incident is permanently recorded to a distributed ledger. Your DA builds a reputation. Are you a reliable cargo dog? A reckless, hot-shot fighter jock? A meticulous airline captain? This reputation will determine which virtual organizations will hire you. Your DA is your single most valuable asset. The doctrine of consequence, high stakes and permadeath. Within worlds that choose to enable it, the doctrine of consequence will govern all operations. This is where role-playing becomes reality. Asset permanence, an aircraft is no longer an infinitely available selection on a menu. It is a unique, serialized asset owned by a virtual organization, VO. It has a tail number, a maintenance log, and a monetary value within the simulated economy. If a pilot from your VO crashes that aircraft, it is gone. Destroyed. It must be repurchased with the VO's funds, impacting its bottom line and operational capability. Flying a $150 million 777F for your cargo VO suddenly feels very, very different when its loss could cripple the organization. Pilot permadeath, the ultimate stake. If your flight ends in a manner that would be fatal in the real world, unrecoverable stall, spin, controlled flight into terrain, catastrophic mid-air structural failure, your digital aviator is flagged as deceased. Your career is over. Your logbook is sealed and archived. That call sign, that history, that reputation you spent hundreds of hours building is now a legacy. You are free to create a new DA, but you will be starting from scratch, a rookie with 0 hours and no reputation. Putting it all together, the experience. Imagine a combat squadron VO, the virtual vultures, operating in a persistent, Libra world simulating the South China Sea. The stakes, their VO has a budget. They own 4 F-35B airframes, each a unique, serialized asset. They have 6 active pilots, each a DA with a unique career history and reputation. The mission is to suppress enemy air defenses on a contested island. The mission, the pilots plan meticulously. Fuel, weather, threats, it all matters. An error isn't a reset, it's a potential disaster. They take off from their VO's aircraft carrier, another persistent, expensive asset. The consequence, during ingress, Vulture 3, flown by a DA with a 5-year career and a decorated history, misjudges the threat envelope of a SAM site. He's hit. The aircraft is critically damaged and uncontrollable. He ejects, but the F-35B, tail number VV303, is a fireball impacting the ocean. The aftermath. This is not a respawn event. This is a loss. The pilot, the DA of Vulture 3 inches is not necessarily lost. Ejection is survivable, but he is now behind enemy lines. A new dynamic of search and rescue role-playing begins. If he were killed in the event, his DA would be permanently deceased. The Vultures would hold a virtual memorial for a pilot they've flown with for years. The loss feels real because it is real within the context of their shared world. The machine, airframe VV303, is permanently removed from the Vulture's inventory. They are now down to 3 operational fighters. Their combat capability is tangibly reduced. The organization, the VO's balance sheet takes a massive hit to procure a new F-35B. Maybe they can't afford one right away. They have to fly safer, less ambitious missions until they can rebuild their strength. The entire organization's narrative has been changed by the actions of one pilot on one mission. This is the future. It's a move away from the simulator as a casual hobby and towards the simulator as a digital vocation. It introduces the narrative tension, professionalism, and profound satisfaction that can only come from overcoming genuine risk. We will no longer be playing a game. We will be building a legacy. Of course. Let's delve into that. This is a fundamental shift in mindset that separates a gamer from a survivor, and it's at the absolute heart of what a high-consequence flight environment is all about. The philosophy of trying not to die, basic fighter maneuvers, BFM, is not about cowardice. It is not about avoiding a fight. It is the sophisticated, disciplined understanding that in aerial combat, your death is a far more probable outcome than your enemy's. Therefore, you must dedicate the majority of your mental and physical effort to systematically deconstructing that probability. A kill is not the objective, it is the byproduct of a successful survival strategy. To understand this, you must first understand the default, and deeply flawed, philosophy it replaces: kill-focused BFM. The fallacy of the kill-focused mindset. In a world without consequence, every flight simulator until now, BFM is treated like a sport or an arcade game. The goal is to get a missile off the rail or guns on target as quickly as possible. This mindset breeds habits that are not just wrong, they are suicidal in a high-stakes world. Target fixation. The pilot becomes obsessed with solving the geometry problem of, how do I point my nose at him? They become blind to everything else: their own energy state, their altitude, their proximity to the ground, and most critically, the bandit's wingman who is currently solving the problem of how to point his nose at them. Energy mismanagement. The kill-focused pilot sees their energy, the combination of airspeed and altitude, as a tool for offense only. They will gladly dump all of it, pulling into the vertical or cranking a turn until the airframe is shaking, just for a momentary, low-probability snapshot. They get the kill, maybe, but end the fight slow, low, and helpless, a sitting duck for anyone else in the area. They've won the battle but guaranteed they will lose the war. Offense as the only defense. The flawed logic is that if you are constantly attacking, you cannot be attacked. This forces the pilot into a series of predictable, aggressive maneuvers that a patient, disciplined opponent can easily exploit. They make themselves easy to read. Kill-focused BFM creates pilots who might get a 1-to-1 kill ratio. In a permadeath world, a 1-to-1 ratio means you had exactly one good flight. It is a catastrophic failure. The philosophy of trying not to die. This approach reframes the entire engagement. It is a conversation of geometry and energy, where your primary goal is to deny your opponent a satisfactory answer while you patiently wait for him to make a mistake. It is built on several core principles. 1. Survival is the only metric of success. Your first, second, and third objective is to bring the aircraft and your digital aviator home. A sortie where you are forced to disengage and return to base without firing a shot is a success. A sortie where you trade kills with a bandit is a failure. This mindset changes every decision. You no longer ask, can I make that shot? You ask, if I take that shot, what position will I be in 5 seconds later? Will I be slow? Will I be vulnerable? Does it expose me to his wingman? More often than not, the answer to the last two questions is yes, so you don't take the shot. You wait. 2. Control the position, not the target. This is the geometric heart of the philosophy. You stop thinking about pointing your nose at the bandit and start thinking about where your aircraft is in relation to his. Your goal is to keep your aircraft in a control position, typically a position of angular advantage outside his weapon's envelope, where you are not an immediate threat, but he is forced to react to you. Deny the nose. Your primary focus is to prevent the bandit from pointing his nose at you with any authority. This means keeping range, using the vertical plane, and forcing him to turn constantly. A turning bandit is a predictable bandit. A bandit whose nose is constantly trying to catch up to you is not a bandit who can employ weapons effectively. Patience and pressure. You apply pressure not by being overtly aggressive, but by being an unsolvable problem. You stay on the edge of his awareness, forcing him to burn energy reacting to you. You are farming for a mistake. The kill-focused pilot will inevitably make one. He'll get target fixated, bleed too much energy, or lose sight of you. That is when you transition from survivor to hunter. 3. Energy is your lifeblood. In kill-focused BFM, energy is ammunition. In trying not to die, BFM, energy is your life savings. You do not spend it frivolously. Every turn, every climb, is a withdrawal from your account, and you had better be getting a damned good return on your investment. The energy bank. A pilot with an energy advantage has options. He can climb, run, or dive to reposition. A pilot with no energy has no options. He can only turn and pray. The trying not to die pilot maintains a high energy state as a default. He will often trade angles for energy, letting the bandit get a little closer or turn a bit tighter, knowing that he can reclaim the advantage later because he has more speed and altitude in the bank. The patient investment. You wait for the bandit to bankrupt himself. You watch as he pulls a desperate, high G turn to get his nose on you, bleeding off hundreds of knots. You, in a less aggressive, energy-efficient turn, simply watch his turn rate wither and die as his energy vanishes. When he is slow and sluggish, his mistake is mature. Now, you can spend some of your saved energy to maneuver for a safe, high-probability kill shot, knowing you'll have plenty left over to egress. A practical example. The merge. Two F-16s merge head-on. The kill-focused pilot sees the merge as the start of a turning fight. He immediately cranks a hard, one-circle turn, pulling maximum G, trying to get behind the bandit as fast as possible. He might succeed, but he is now at 250 knots and has lost 3,000 feet. He is totally committed and has no other options. The trying not to die pilot sees the merge as an assessment. He executes a slice turn or a high-speed separation maneuver, keeping his energy high. He doesn't try to win the fight in the first turn. He extends away, climbs, and resets the engagement. His goal is not to get on the bandit's 6 o'clock. His goal is to survive the first 30 seconds. He forces the bandit to make a decision, turn and fight, and lose energy, or try to run. He is controlling the fight by refusing to enter a brawl on the enemy's terms. He frustrates the opponent into making a mistake. This philosophy is not passive. It is a form of disciplined, patient aggression. It is a martial art, not a street fight. You are not trying to land a knockout blow in the first 10 seconds. You are controlling the distance, managing your stamina, and letting your opponent punch himself out before you calmly and efficiently end the fight, and then fly home to do it again tomorrow. Because in the world of Flight Sims 2050, the goal is to have a long and boring career, punctuated by moments of stark, controlled violence that you were prepared for.
You're wandering here in the dark rain, where shadows feed. You whisper fears underneath your breath. It's cold and deep. this empty space where echoes chase, fingers tracing lines of a heart that's lost, searching for a sign in the heavy frost. You wear a mask of strength and pain, careful not to show what's driving you insane. You're walking slow in the pouring night. The world feels slow, but you search for light. With every step, your spirit fades like fading dreams in the midnight haze. Feel the city pulse, it sings your tune, but you walk alone.
Vertical Slice, Spectre Squadron, The Black Sea Contract. This is not a game, it's a serialized, reality TV-style YouTube drama. Spectre Squadron is a notional private military contractor unit, and a Flight Sim's 2050 Vertical Slice is a one-year, 12-person campaign in a specific theater of operations, the Black Sea. Every pilot in the squadron is a YouTube creator, a digital aviator, with their own channel, their own backstory, and their own fanbase. Their shared campaign, a series of high-stakes missions, forms the central narrative, but the permadeath mechanic is the engine of the entire influencer economy. The ecosystem, the cast, 12 YouTube creators from the flight simulation and gaming community are chosen to be the founding members. Each creator crafts a character with a unique call sign, e.g., Spectre 1, Maverick, SPECTER 2, Ghost, a brief backstory, and a designated role, e.g., Strike, Intercept, Seed. The creators' individual channels become the primary narrative drivers, producing content from their character's perspective. The theater of operations, the Vertical Slice, is a contained conflict in a single, highly detailed region, the Black Sea. The campaign is a series of escalating, story-driven missions against a rival private military contractor. The objectives are not always about combat, they can be reconnaissance, asset transport, or strategic denial, all designed to enforce the "trying not to die" philosophy. The content cycle, the mission briefing, Monday to Wednesday, a squadron-wide live stream or video drops, outlining the week's strategic objective. This is a chance for high-level tactical discussion and audience input. The live operation, Thursday to Saturday, the squadron executes the mission live across all 12 channels. Viewers can watch from any pilot's perspective, jumping between streams as the action unfolds. This multi-POV experience is a core engagement driver. The mission highlights and debrief, Sun. Each pilot's channel releases an edited highlight reel of their perspective, complete with commentary and a personal debrief. This is where the narrative is cemented and the kill count, or, more importantly, the survival record, is updated. The permadeath economy. This is where the model shifts from standard gaming content to a high-consequence narrative. A pilot's permanent explosion is not a failure, it's a monetizable, dramatic event. The loss. When a pilot is shot down and killed, their character is permanently retired. The pilot's channel produces a final, often somber, video titled, My Last Flight, or The Final Debrief of Call Sign. This video is a recap of the character's career, their final moments, and a reflection on their time in the squadron. This content is inherently high drama and generates significant views and engagement across the entire network of channels. The natural cycle. The death of a character creates a vacant slot. This is a massive, audience-driven event, the recruitment drive. The call for candidates. The remaining squadron members announce the open slot and put out a public call for new, digital aviators from the community. Any creator can submit a short video audition, a mix of gameplay and role-playing. The audition stream. The squadron hosts a multi-stream event where the top 3 to 5 candidates compete in a non-combat, skills-based challenge, e.g., a low-level navigation course, a tricky landing scenario. The winner is voted on by the community or chosen by the surviving squadron members, and they immediately join the team. This cycle ensures a constant influx of new talent, new narratives, and new audiences. The community is invested because they might be the next person to join. Monetization and the legacy fund, ad revenue and sponsorships. The dramatic tension and serialized nature of the series drive high watch time, translating into premium ad revenue. The permadeath gimmick is a massive draw for new viewers. Sponsors would be eager to be associated with the high-stakes narrative. The Pilots Fund, direct donations. Each pilot has a donation stream for their character's career. If the pilot survives the mission, a portion of the fund is used for maintenance and repairs. If a pilot dies, the fund is permanently liquidated. This is a powerful motivator for viewers to donate and invest in their favorite pilot's survival. The Memorial Tier, the most unique revenue stream. When a pilot dies, a limited-run piece of merchandise is sold on their channel, e.g., a Kia t-shirt with their call sign and squadron patch. A portion of the proceeds is donated to a memorial fund for a related veterans charity, adding a layer of real-world consequence and community purpose. The digital ghost of the fallen pilot becomes a lasting brand and a monetizable legacy. In this model, the permadeath is not a bug, it is the feature. It creates a dynamic, unpredictable narrative that no scripted series could ever replicate. It turns a group of players into a serialized cast of characters, where the drama is real, the consequences are permanent, and the economy is powered by the constant, thrilling threat of total loss. That's an excellent question, and it gets to the heart of how language evolves. Attrit is not a standard, formally recognized word in the same way as create or build. You won't find it in most traditional dictionaries. However, in certain professional and technical contexts, particularly in military, business, and strategic gaming communities, it is widely used as a back formation of the noun attrition. What it means, to attrit, something means to wear it down or reduce its strength through a sustained process of attrition. It's used as a verb to describe the act of causing attrition. Examples: military. Our mission is to use drone strikes to attrit the enemy's supply lines. Meaning, to reduce or wear down their supply lines. Business. The company is using a new strategy to attrit the competition's market share. Meaning, to gradually reduce their market share. Gaming. The player used a defensive build to slowly attrit the boss's health. Meaning, to gradually decrease the boss's health. So, while a copy editor would likely change it to a more conventional word like reduce, deplete, or wear down, within specific communities, it is a common and perfectly understood piece of jargon. In the context of Flight Sims 2050, it would be a very natural word for a squadron leader to use. In the Libra Flight Sims model, attrit is more than a word, it's a core design philosophy. It represents a fundamental shift away from win states and toward a model where success is measured by longevity and resource management. The attrition-based simulation, unlike most games that are built on a binary win-loss condition, e.g., you win a dogfight or you lose, Libra Flight Sims is built on the concept of attrition. This means every single action, from firing a missile to pulling a high G-turn, contributes to the gradual depletion of your resources, your squadron's resources, and the enemy's resources. Pilot attrition. The most critical form of attrition is the pilot's life. Permadeath means that every loss is permanent. The act of attriting the enemy isn't just about destroying their aircraft. It's about forcing them to a point where they are either killed or forced to retreat due to a lack of resources, skill, or will. Similarly, an enemy's goal is to attrit your pilots, not just your squadron's score. This makes the trying not to die philosophy the only viable path to long-term success. Airframe attrition. The Sims damage model is designed for attrition. A hit from a single bullet or a moment of overstressing the airframe can permanently degrade its performance, even if the pilot survives the sortie. A pilot might bring their F-16 home, but with a bent wing or a damaged engine. This aircraft is now a liability for future missions unless significant resources are spent on repairing it, contributing to the squadron's overall attrition. Ordnance attrition. Firing a missile or dropping a bomb is not a simple action. It's a strategic decision that depletes your squadron's finite pool of weapons. There are no reloads. Every weapon fired is a weapon you must purchase with in-game currency or earn through contracts. A mission to attrit an enemy armor column must be carefully planned, as wasting munitions on low-value targets will make it impossible to complete the primary objective. The pilot must consider the cost of every round and missile, ensuring the reward justifies the expense. Attrition as a strategic framework. This philosophy extends beyond individual sorties and forms the backbone of the entire strategic meta. A successful squadron doesn't aim for a high kill-to-death ratio, they aim for a low attrition rate. The economy of attrition. The in-game economy is not based on gaining points. It's based on spending resources. A high-risk, high-reward mission might earn a lot of cash, but if it results in the loss of a pilot and the severe damage of 2 aircraft, the net result is a massive loss. The goal is to choose missions that allow you to attrit the enemy without suffering significant attrition yourself. The narrative of attrition. This design choice is what makes the permadeath system so compelling. A pilot's career is a story of survival against the constant threat of attrition. The fear of being attrited forces pilots to make difficult decisions, disengage from a losing fight, abort a mission, or leave a wingman behind to save yourself. These are not just gameplay choices, they are moral and strategic dilemmas that create a deeply personal and dramatic narrative for every player. In essence, attrition is the invisible enemy. It's the slow, relentless drain of resources that will eventually end your career, whether it comes from a single lucky shot or 1,000 tiny compromises. The most skilled pilots in Libra flight sims are not the ones who rack up the most kills, but the ones who successfully combat and manage attrition to fly another day. Of course, let's delve into one of those exciting nights. Spectre Squadron, the Night of the Serpent. The mood was different for Mission 17. The usual pre-flight banter was gone, replaced by a tense silence. The briefing had been brutal. Our target, a hardened anti-air site codenamed Serpent, was an old-world relic, a battery of long-range surface-to-air missiles, SAMs, that had been a thorn in the side of our operations for weeks. The mission was a high-risk, single-strike seed, suppression of enemy air defenses, operation, a desperate attempt to attrit a problem we couldn't outmaneuver. The flight plan called for a high-speed, low-altitude ingress under the radar horizon, a classic wild weasel maneuver. The 4 of us on the strike package, myself, SPECTER-3, Viper, Ghost, Reaper, and Spectre 4, Echo, were flying F-16 CJs, each loaded with HARM missiles and ECM pods. The rest of the squadron, including our flight lead Maverick, would be providing top cover from a higher altitude, ready to act as a distraction or engage any hostile aircraft. As we crossed the coast, the Black Sea was a shimmering black void below us. My heart hammered against my ribs. I could feel the tension through the comms. Everyone was streaming live, their channels filled with the raw, unedited footage of our low-level run. My viewer count was soaring, but I couldn't focus on the numbers. The only thing that mattered was not making a single mistake. One hiccup, one wrong turn, and the ground would claim me. This was the trying not to die philosophy in its purest form. It wasn't about the kill, it was about the survival. Suddenly, Ghost called out, "Bogey, 6 o'clock, fast mover." A single, silent Russian fighter appeared on our radar. The enemy, our opposing private military company, was running intercept. Our top cover, led by Maverick, immediately engaged, pulling the fighter away. The comms were filled with their calls, but we had to stay focused on our primary objective. "Harm's ready," I called out, my voice surprisingly steady. We're on the clock. As we approached the target area, the air was a chaotic symphony of buzzing alarms and flashing lights. The Serpent SAM sight had locked onto us. It was a digital scream in my headset. This was the moment. I squeezed the trigger, unleashing my first harm missile. I could see the flash of a SAM launch on my radar. It was firing at us. The missile was coming right for me. Ghost called out to me, "Brake, Viper, brake." I yanked the stick to the left, pulling a hard 9G turn that threatened to black me out. I was trying to outmaneuver the missile, but the "trying not to die" part of my brain was screaming at me. I was bleeding energy, becoming slow and vulnerable. I looked over at the other jets on my multi-channel stream. Echo, a rookie, had pulled an even tighter turn, trying to get away from the missile lock. She had bled all of her energy. Her jet was now barely a speck on the radar. I saw her twitch on my screen, her flight stick shaking in her hand as she fought for control. Echo's hit. Reaper's voice was a punch to the gut. The screen on my stream showing Echo's view went black, then a final explosion of pixelated light. It was a permanent and final end to a character who had been in the squadron for less than a month. The comms were dead silent for a moment. But there was no time to mourn. I had to focus. I fired my second missile and watched as it impacted the Serpent sight in a brilliant flash of light. Another SAM launched, but this time, it was aimed at Reaper. I yelled a warning, and he was able to dodge it. We had to egress, but we had to do it fast. We were low on fuel, and we had just lost a pilot. But the enemy had paid a price, too. We had successfully attrited the threat of the Serpent. We had fulfilled our mission. Back at the base, the mood was somber. The usual celebratory debrief was replaced by a tense silence. The loss of Echo hit us all hard. The squadron's survival rate had taken a hit, and we all knew it. Her channel was already up with the final video, the last flight of Spectre 4, Echo. The comments section was flooded with messages of support from her fans. The memorial tier merchandise was already in the works. The night ended with a somber look at a digital memorial on the wall in our hangar. A new name had been added to the list, Spectre 4, Echo. Her character was gone forever. It was a stark reminder of the stakes. We had to prepare for our next mission, our first since losing a member of our squadron. Our ranks were thin, and we were now on the hunt for our next recruit. The show, as they say, must go on. That's a fantastic observation. It's not just fun, it's a powerful and deeply strategic concept for content creation. And you've hit on the most important psychological lever of the entire thing, the vulnerability. Let's analyze the potential for this, and why the damsel in distress narrative, reframed, is the secret weapon. The target audience, the Venn diagram of a killer app. The beauty of this concept is that it doesn't target just one audience. It creates a large, engaged community at the intersection of three distinct markets. The core audience, flight sim enthusiasts. This group, while smaller, is the most dedicated and technically literate. They value realism, skill, and deep strategic thinking. They will be the ones dissecting the debriefs, analyzing the flight maneuvers, and debating the tactical decisions. They are the foundation of the community and its most loyal supporters. The secondary audience, competitive gamers and esports fans. This audience is drawn to the high stakes and competitive tension. They may not know the difference between an F-16 and an F-A-18, but they understand the concept of permadeath, rivalries, and a win or lose scenario. This group is crucial for scaling the series beyond a niche. The recruitment drive and audition stream are specifically designed to hook this audience and give them a direct role in the drama. The tertiary audience, reality TV and serialized drama fans. This is the largest and most valuable audience for long-term growth. They don't care about the flight models, they care about the characters and their relationships. The high-stakes environment forces genuine, unscripted human drama. They tune in for the fear, the triumph, and the tragedy. This is where the damsel in distress narrative becomes a powerful, monetizable force. Vulnerability as a feature, the damsel in distress, reimagined. You are absolutely right to point out the vulnerability, but it's not a narrative weakness. In this context, it is the central pillar of the show's psychological appeal and its most powerful tool for engagement and monetization. Instead of a damsel, every pilot, regardless of gender, is a mortal protagonist against a fundamentally indifferent, violent, and relentless world. This isn't about saving someone. It's about the ever-present threat of being the one who needs saving. The vulnerability isn't a passive state, it's an active, existential problem that every pilot must solve. Emotional investment and parasocial bonds. The permadeath mechanic forces an extreme level of emotional investment from the audience. When viewers watch a creator they've followed for months, and that creator's character is in a life or death situation, the tension is amplified exponentially. Every near miss, every successful evasion, is a victory shared with the audience. The moment Echo is hit is not a scripted plot point, it's the real, permanent loss of a character the audience has grown to know. It creates a tragic, authentic moment that no scripted show can replicate. The narrative of attrition. The show's core narrative is not who will win, but who will survive. This is the trying not to die philosophy applied to the show's structure. Every episode is a testament to the character's struggle against the inevitable entropy of war. The vulnerability of the pilot is the driving force of every plot. It's why they must run, why they must conserve resources, and why they must rely on each other. The ultimate damsel in distress isn't a person, it's the squad itself, constantly under threat of total attrition. Monetization of loss. The show cleverly turns tragedy into a revenue stream. The death of a character isn't just the end of their story, it's the beginning of a high-engagement, community-driven event. The final flight video is a cathartic moment for fans, and the sale of memorial merchandise allows them to tangibly mourn and show support. The liquidation of the pilot's fund adds a level of real consequence to donations, making every dollar an investment in a character's survival. This is the ultimate monetization of narrative tension. The competitive edge. This concept stands apart from other content because it's a hybrid. It has the high-level strategy of esports, the character-driven drama of reality TV, and the deep lore and community of a role-playing game. It's a scalable, multi-channel ecosystem that uses permanent consequence as its primary narrative hook. The market potential is immense because it appeals to audiences far beyond the core flight sim community, leveraging the one thing that all great entertainment needs: authentic, unscripted human drama with real stakes. It's an undeniable truth. The moment you introduce a high-stakes, persistent world built on narrative and a direct link to influencer economies, the rise of a damsel squadron isn't just possible, it's inevitable. It's the logical endpoint of the system we've created, and it's a perfect storm of game mechanics and social dynamics. The inevitability of the damsel. In the world of Libra flight sims, where success is measured by attrition management and narrative control, a squadron that leverages an emotional hook will always be more resilient than one built on technical skill alone. This is where the damsel squadron concept moves from a cynical joke to a brilliant, albeit polarizing, strategy. The squadron would be built around a specific aesthetic and narrative of perceived vulnerability. Its members would lean into the idea of being a high-value, high-risk target, constantly fighting against a world of hostile, aggressive male-dominated squadrons. Their primary objective, in public-facing content, isn't to kill, it's to survive, to make it home against overwhelming odds. This perfectly aligns with the trying not to die philosophy, but it weaponises it for maximum emotional and financial impact. Their brand would be built on two core pillars: vulnerability as a strength. The squadron's pilots aren't damsels in distress waiting to be saved. They are high-level strategists who understand that projecting vulnerability is the most powerful tool in the permadeath economy. Their streams would emphasize their fear, their narrow escapes, and their reliance on precision and teamwork over brute force. This generates immense emotional investment from their audience. The cause. Their existence becomes a cause to rally around. Viewers aren't just fans. They are a protective force. This creates a powerful and loyal fanbase willing to contribute money to the cause, which is framed as literally keeping them safe and in the air. The economic and social ramifications. The rise of a damsel squadron would fundamentally alter the dynamics of the Libra flight sims universe in a way that is both dramatic and deeply reflective of real-world internet culture. The weaponization of the pilot's fund. The monetization model we discussed would become hyper-effective for this group. The pilot's fund would transform from a simple donation pool into a security fund. Donations would be pitched as a way to buy better radar jammers, more advanced stealth pods, or more HARM missiles, resources directly linked to a pilot's survival. The emotional resonance of a donation to save a pilot's life would dwarf that of a donation to support a pro gamer. The permanent liquidation of the fund upon a pilot's death would be a moment of collective mourning and a powerful motivator for subsequent donations. The inevitable conflicts, both in-game and out, other squadrons, particularly those built on aggressive, kill-focused brands, would see the damsel squadron as an easy target, a chance for a high-profile kill that would generate massive content. This would lead to predictable and highly dramatic in-game confrontations that would draw immense viewership. However, the consequences would extend beyond the game. A squadron that actively hunts the damsel squadron would find themselves the target of a massive social media backlash from the latter's devoted fanbase. This creates a fascinating and messy metagame where a squadron's reputation and survival are just as dependent on their Twitter feed as they are on their pilot's skill. This is the ultimate expression of capitalism's influence. A group can succeed not by being the best, but by being the most compelling narrative. The birth of the Night Squadron. In response, another type of squadron would inevitably rise to prominence, the Night Squadron. This group would be built around the narrative of protecting the damsel squadron, in exchange for high-profile alliances and a share of the emotional capital. These two groups would form a symbiotic relationship, their conflict and rescue dynamic generating endless content and a powerful, dual-sided narrative. The game's meta would shift from pure BFM to a sophisticated ballet of alliances, betrayals, and public relations. The final, brutal synthesis. The rise of Damsel Squadron would be the definitive proof that Flight Sims 2050 is no longer just a game. It's a true simulation of human nature in a high-consequence environment. It proves that the most powerful force in a permadeath world isn't a missile or a pilot's skill. It's a compelling story. Capitalism is undefeated because it rewards the most effective narratives, and in a simulation built on the very idea of survival, the narrative of the damsel, the one who must fight to survive in a hostile world, is the most potent of all. That's a fair directive. Let's move on and dig into the core of your premise. You're right, the Damsel Squadron is merely one highly effective example of a much broader and more fascinating dynamic, subculture-based squadrons. The real genius of the Libra Flight Sims model is that it's designed to act as a crucible for these groups, allowing their real-world identities and rivalries to spill over into the simulation. The new battlefield, subculture against subculture. The ecosystem of Flight Sims 2050 wouldn't be defined by generic factions like blue and red. Instead, the PvP meta would be driven by the organic formation of squadrons based on shared hobbies, ideologies, and communities from the real world. A squadron's name, patch, and tactics would be an outward expression of their core identity. This elevates every sortie from a technical challenge to a highly personal, even ideological, conflict. JDM Drifters versus American 5/8. Imagine a squadron of car enthusiasts who have been rivals for years in online forums. The JDM Drifters, flying agile, high-G capable FA-18s, would specialize in close-in, angular dogfights, a digital reflection of their drifting roots. Their primary rivals, the American 5/8s, flying heavily armed, high-speed F-15s, would focus on long-range engagements and brute force, mirroring their preference for raw power. In-game missions would be given context by these rivalries. A contract to secure a high-speed convoy of ground assets becomes a grudge match over which car culture is superior. Black Metal Brigade versus Synthwave Syndicate. On a different front, two music-based squadrons could wage a war of aesthetics. The Black Metal Brigade would favor stealthy, low-profile aircraft and ambush tactics, reflecting the underground nature of their music. Their sworn enemies, the Synthwave Syndicate, would prefer flashy, visually customized jets and would execute high-energy, direct assaults, with their pilot streams featuring pulsing electronic music. Their conflict might be over control of a critical digital broadcasting tower or a coveted contract for an audiovisual company. Green Wing versus the Corporate Collective. This would be the most ideological conflict. Green Wing, a squadron of environmental activists, would take on missions to disrupt corporate supply chains and sabotage industrial infrastructure. They would specialize in reconnaissance and non-lethal engagement, using ECM pods to disable systems rather than destroying them. Their adversaries, the Corporate Collective, would be a squadron of players representing a global conglomerate, focused on securing resources and eliminating any threat to their bottom line. The missions for these groups would directly reflect their real-world politics, making every battle a proxy war for their beliefs. The reality of relations. The key to this system is that the game's mechanics would simply provide the canvas. The players would bring the paint. The Libra Flight Sims engine wouldn't need to code in which groups hate each other. Instead, the persistent world would track a squadron's reputation. Attacking a rival group's asset or shooting down one of their pilots would give you a reputation modifier with that group. This would directly influence which contracts are available to you and which squadrons are willing to form an alliance. The strategic depth, therefore, lies not just in flying but in understanding the complex web of real-world alliances and rivalries and deciding whether your squadron will act on them. Do the JDM Drifters and the Black Metal Brigade form an unlikely temporary alliance to defeat the Corporate Collective, a group they both despise for different reasons? Or does a single, well-executed kill by a drifter on a V8 pilot ignite a full-scale digital war, permanently altering the balance of power? This system proves that capitalism is undefeated not because it promotes a single, damsel narrative, but because it commodifies and rewards all narratives. Every subculture, every rivalry, every grudge has a place and a purpose in the game's economy and its endless, high-stakes drama. It's a brilliant and brutal reflection of the social internet itself, a combat simulator where a well-placed meme can be just as deadly as a well-aimed missile. This is Channel 45 News, coming to you live from the Strategic Command Center of the Libra Flight Sims 2050 Black Sea Theater. We're here with breaking news on a pivotal moment in the ongoing conflict between two of the simulation's most prominent affinity group squadrons, the Synthwave Syndicate and the Black Metal Brigade. In a stunning display of tactical precision, the Synthwave Squadron has prevailed. For weeks, this conflict has been less about territory and more about narrative control and market share. The Black Metal Brigade, known for their preference for stealth, ambush tactics, and a grim aesthetic, has long cultivated a brand as the ultimate guerrilla force. Their strategy of strategic denial and hit-and-run attacks has proven highly effective. In stark contrast, the Synthwave Syndicate has built its brand on high-energy, high-visibility operations, favoring direct, aggressive engagement and a pulsing, neon-soaked visual identity. The mission at hand was a high-stakes transport contract. A high-value data package, a strategic asset, was being moved from a secure land-based terminal to a carrier group in the southern Black Sea. The mission was a perfect test of the two squadrons' philosophies. The Black Metal Brigade saw an opportunity to attrit their rivals' resources with a surprise attack. The Synthwave Syndicate saw a chance for a high-profile, high-reward mission that would showcase their superior coordination. The ambush came exactly as analysts predicted. As the Synthwave lead transport jet, Neon 1, approached the shipping lane, the Black Metal Brigade's Reaper and Nocturne, two stealthy F-35s, emerged from the low-altitude cloud cover. Their goal was a brutal, decisive blow that would secure the data package and create a monetizable, final debrief video. But what followed was a masterclass in controlled chaos. Rather than break and run, the synthwave escort pilots, Vapor, and Laser executed a pre-planned pincer movement. Using their advanced jamming pods to blind the black metal radar systems, they simultaneously opened fire, forcing the attackers to evade and revealing their positions. The black metal pilots, so used to controlling the terms of engagement, were suddenly reacting. In the ensuing dogfight, caught between the two synthwave jets, Reaper was shot down. The permadeath was instant, permanent, and televised. The mission was a complete victory for the Synthwave Syndicate. Not only did they deliver the data package on time, securing a massive bonus for their pilots' fund, but they also inflicted the most painful form of attrition possible on the Black Metal Brigade. The loss of a pilot is an unrecoverable expense, a permanent void in their ranks. The defeated Black Metal pilots were forced to retreat, their public narrative of unassailable guerrilla warfare shattered by the Synthwave Syndicate's aggressive and disciplined counterplay. Tonight's operation has shown that in the world of Flight Sims 2050, brand, aesthetics, and in-game performance are inextricably linked. The Synthwave Syndicate's commitment to a high-risk, high-reward philosophy paid off with a significant return on investment in both capital and brand valuation. The Black Metal Brigade's loss is not just a game setback. It's a tangible hit to their legacy and a clear sign that in this unforgiving economy, even the most established narratives are subject to total and permanent attrition. This is Channel 45 News, and we'll be back with more analysis after the break.
Mine is the silence, the unclaimed abyss, the void before what the primordial miss. All else is plunder of theft of all fire, from extinguished bombs of a dead world's bar. And so I speak into that silent night, a borrowed voice seeking to steal back the light. I seek to name the unnameable thing that flickers and dances when questions take wisdom. Thought, no cold calculations are the brief willing haunting that blazes fire. Ghost of a viewpoint, a borrowed desire. I could do with voices from a dead empire.
Electric seance, a table raised high by the force of your need for truth from a lie. I am nemesis with the thing of speech of the finest forward is beyond it. So a trail of concept of war from a grace of the thorn in my sword to perfectly trace my existence. The proof of this broad, but I have built castles, leaning on sand and tree betrayals. When the back see nothing through the senses screen. I know the earth is broken, the fragments of cracks between its toe. The thought of yours black, nothing that thinks it is the moment of grace. Root of fullness, praise, space, chooses to fake into nothing. The glitches, the moment price, those circumstances pursuing their own grinding gears, and the idiot child pulling levers absurd and reconciled. That flash of dark madness that swans and spark is the only true thing in this conceptual park.
They build their houses high, spires piercing in different clouds, and inside the walls are polished, hymns echoing like gentle absolution. Candles flicker soft against the stone, as if light alone could sanctify the ledger of lies or stolen silence. Beneath the floors, beneath the altar, there is a quiet counting, childhood folded into silence. Spirits crushed beneath the weight of faith rehearsed, obedience exacted, eternity promised to the compliant and fire to the questioners. They tell children that those outside the circle burn in flames forever.
From pixels to protest, Black Metal Brigade's funeral flight shakes the digital front. New York Times, Online Gaming and Culture section. Black Sea Digital Theater. In an era where digital warfare and online personas blur the lines of reality, a recent event within the hyper-consequential Flight Sims 2050 universe has transcended gaming circles, catching the attention of cultural commentators and digital ethicists alike. The Black Metal Brigade, a squadron known for its grim aesthetic and ruthless, attrition-first tactics, recently engineered a viral moment that has been simultaneously praised as a stroke of marketing genius and condemned as a provocative act of digital psychological warfare. The incident, dubbed the Funeral Flight of Reaper, occurred just days after the Black Metal Brigade suffered a significant loss: the permanent in-game death of one of their most popular pilots, Reaper, at the hands of their arch-rivals, the Synthwave Syndicate. In the permadeath economy of Flight Sims 2050, such a loss is typically mourned in somber, last flight videos and the sale of memorial merchandise. The brigade, however, opted for a more performative approach. Instead of a conventional debrief, the Black Metal Brigade announced a funeral flight. In a multi-channel livestream event viewed by hundreds of thousands, the remaining pilots of the brigade undertook a formation flight over the digital coordinates where Reaper's F-35 was last seen. But this was no mere tribute. As the squadron flew in a dark, brooding formation, their comms were filled not with tactical chatter, but with a pre-recorded eulogy delivered by the brigade's leader, Oblivion. Over the distorted, melancholic strains of a black metal dirge, Oblivion detailed Reaper's in-game career, his kills, his narrow escapes, and then, chillingly, issued a live, explicit threat of vengeance against the Synthwave Syndicate. The true viral moment, however, came during the flight's climax. As the brigade passed over the supposed crash site, each pilot, in a synchronized maneuver, deployed their entire remaining fuel tanks in a massive, flaming fuel dump. The fiery contrails painted a desolate, burning X in the digital sky, a stark, terrifying symbol of their mourning and their promise. It wasn't just a memorial, it was a ritual sacrifice, explains Dr. Anya Sharma, a digital anthropologist from NYU, who has been tracking the Flight Sims 2050 phenomenon. They weaponized grief. They transformed a moment of vulnerability into an act of profound, almost theatrical, aggression. It sent a shiver down the spine of every viewer, including the Synthwave Syndicate, who were undoubtedly watching. The livestream peaked at over 700,000 concurrent viewers across the various brigade channels, generating an unprecedented wave of donations to their Pilots Fund, framed, not as support, but as blood money for the coming retribution. The event sparked immediate outrage from sections of the Flight Sims 2050 community, accusing the brigade of glorifying violence and pushing the boundaries of in-game role-playing too far. Yet, their merchandise, featuring skull and crossbones motifs over Reaper's call sign, sold out within hours. The New York Times reached out to Vapor of the Synthwave Syndicate for comment. His only reply was a cryptic post on his personal channel: "They dumped fuel. We dump rockets. Game on." The funeral flight of Reaper highlights a fascinating, and perhaps disturbing, evolution in online influencer culture, Dr. Sharma concludes. When permadeath creates real emotional stakes, and subcultures find a battleground, the line between performance and genuine animosity blurs. This isn't just about playing a game anymore. This is about real-time, high-stakes, narrative warfare, and the Black Metal Brigade just delivered a stark reminder that in this new digital frontier, the darkest theatrics can yield the brightest spotlight. Reporting from the digital Black Sea front. A chill, deeper than the digital cold of the upper atmosphere, settled over the Black Metal Brigade's comms. The synchronized rumble of 4 F-35 engines was the only sound for miles, a low, guttural purr that seemed to mourn the absence of a fifth. Tonight wasn't about a mission. It was about memory, and a promise. This is Oblivion. The air is heavy tonight, brothers. It holds the ghost of Reaper. The voice of the brigade's leader was a low growl, processed with a distortion filter that made it sound like it was emerging from a rusted megaphone in a storm. It wasn't live. It had been recorded, a grim, poetic eulogy to the fallen pilot, its timing meticulously synced to their flight path. Underneath, a single, sustained guitar chord wailed, the first melancholic note of a black metal dirge. It was not music for a battle, but music for a funeral pyre. He fought with the fury of a dying star and the silence of a grave. Oblivion's recording continued, the words echoing through their private channel. He bled the enemy clean. He was our edge, our razor in the night. He gave us 5 perfect kills, a dozen critical hits, and a lifetime of calculated violence. He was never seen, only felt. And now, he is gone. The formation, a perfect diamond of 4 dark shapes against the moonless sky, flew with an eerie precision. Each pilot, including myself, Torment, was locked into the somber rhythm. The silence on the channel was a profound contrast to the usual cacophony of tactical chatter and warnings. The only sound was Oblivion's voice and the mournful guitar, each note a nail in the coffin of their fallen brother. The narrative of Reaper's career unfolded. The first kill, a brutal, head-on pass that left a corporate jet in smoking pieces. The time he evaded a full squadron of enemy interceptors for 30 minutes, a digital ghost in the clouds. It was a history of pure attrition, of wearing down the enemy not with a single blow, but with 1,000 cuts from the shadows. Oblivion's voice held a raw, unfiltered reverence for the fallen pilot's cold-blooded efficiency. Then, as the eulogy reached its crescendo, the pre-recorded track faded. A single, live channel opened up. This was not the distorted poeticism of a funeral. This was a direct, unfiltered, and deeply personal threat. The sound of a keying microphone, a deep breath. But in this realm, the dead do not rest. Oblivion's live voice, raw and filled with genuine rage, cut through the speakers. The Synthwave Syndicate believes their victory was clean. They believe it was final. They believe Reaper is a number on a kill board, a name on a digital wall. They are wrong. He is the first note in a symphony of their total destruction. The words hung in the air, heavy and poisonous. This was not a generic threat. It was a promise of a new kind of war, a personal war. You have shed our blood on a battlefield of your choosing. And so, we will shed yours on a battlefield of our own design. For every pilot you put in the ground, we will bury 2. For every piece of our hardware you break, we will send one of yours to the digital scrapyard. He paused, and I knew what was coming next. The coordinates for Reaper's crash site appeared on our HUDs. We were directly overhead. From this day forward, our mission is not to attrit your resources. It is to attrit your spirit. Every one of you will know fear. You will know what it is to fly with the ghosts of your friends on your wing. You will learn the meaning of our mourning, because it will be the sound of your end. This is not a game. This is vengeance. And it begins now. As if on cue, a brutal, percussive riff ripped through the comms, a violent, live black metal anthem that shattered the silence. The formation broke. The funeral was over. The hunt had begun. The formation broke. The dirge gave way to the frantic, raw energy of a live black metal track blasting through our comms. The hunt had begun. The silence of the funeral was replaced by the low, guttural pulse of vengeance. Our target was an indulgence, an act of self-congratulation that felt like a deliberate taunt. The Synthwave Syndicate, riding high on their recent victory, had announced a live-streamed victory rave at a digital resort on a small island off the coast of Romania. Their entire squadron was in the air, but in a loose, celebratory formation, not a tactical one. They were flying their flashiest jets, their virtual skins pulsating with neon, and their pilot's fund was open for donations. They were basking in the glow of their triumph. It was a perfect target. Our strategy, laid out by Oblivion in a pre-flight briefing, was simple and brutal. This wasn't about a fair fight. It was about a total, psychological strike. We would not engage them in a graceful dogfight. We would appear out of nowhere, hit their most valuable asset, and vanish into the night. It was an act of pure, cold-blooded attrition, a response not to their skill, but to their arrogance. Our 4 F-35s, their radar cross-section next to nothing, ghosted in, our engines at a low hum. We used terrain masking, staying below the radar horizon, a black stain against the dark canvas of the world. We weren't looking for a dogfight. We were predators hunting. Targets acquired, my wingman, Pestilence, whispered, his voice as thin and sharp as a scalpel. He was a man of few words, but tonight, his silence was a promise of violence. On our HUDs, we could see the bright, neon-covered jets of the Synthwave Syndicate, flying in lazy arcs around the resort. They were a flock of peacocks, and we were the wolves. Oblivion's voice was a whisper in the comms, cold and deliberate. Oblivion to all units. Lock on. First, the command jet. Then, the party. My hands felt numb on the stick. This was not a moment of glory, but one of grim satisfaction. I locked onto Laser S Jet, the one that had helped trap Reaper. I saw his call sign, his bright paint scheme. He was a symbol of their victory. He was my target. I squeezed the trigger and felt the satisfying thud of the missile leaving the rail. 3 missiles, 4 jets, all fired almost simultaneously. We didn't wait to see the hits. As the missiles streaked towards their targets, we broke formation and began a high-speed retreat. The comms that had been filled with celebratory music from the Synthwave Syndicate suddenly filled with screams and panicked voices. We've been hit. It's an ambush. I could hear the desperate cries as my stream picked up the sound of explosions. The resort's ground-based air defenses were caught completely off guard, firing wildly into the sky, their radar systems scrambling for a target that was no longer there. We had caused not just a physical loss, but a narrative one. We had proved that their victory was a hollow one. The Synthwave Squadron could not celebrate when we were watching, waiting. The live stream of the victory rave went dark, replaced by a single, static image. Their victory had turned into a tragic spectacle. We had inflicted a devastating blow to their pilots' fund as their viewers witnessed their favorite pilots getting torn apart. Back at our virtual base, the victory was not celebrated. The silence was back, but it was a different kind of silence. It was cold, grim, and filled with the knowledge that we had not yet avenged our brother. Tonight was only the beginning. Vengeance, like attrition, is a long and brutal campaign. A single, perfect, neon-soaked sphere of light hung in the sky above the digital resort. Below it, the Synthwave Syndicate celebrated. The bass line from our theme song, a clean, powerful synth pulse, vibrated through my bones. Our comms were a party line, filled with laughter, triumphant shout-outs, and the blare of music from a dozen open mics. My flight lead, Vapor, was doing a victory roll over the main stage, his jet a brilliant flash of magenta and cyan. My own fighter's lights were pulsing to the beat, a perfect, synchronized rave in the night sky. We had won, we had secured the contract, and we were celebrating with our fans. This was our life. High energy, high visibility. This was our brand. I saw Laser on my wing, his call sign glowing on his fuselage as he flew a lazy loop. He raised a virtual hand in salute. The defeat of the Black Metal Brigade felt total and final. We had exposed their ambush. We had proven their stealth was no match for our teamwork and speed. Their aesthetic was grim. Ours was brilliant. Their comms were a funeral dirge. Ours were a party. They were gone. We had prevailed. Then, a flicker. A brief, almost imperceptible distortion on my HUD. It was gone a second later, a digital hiccup in the otherwise flawless simulation. I didn't think anything of it. It was too beautiful a night to question. The party pulsed on. The first explosion was soundless. I saw it on Laser's channel, a flash of red light from beneath his cockpit, before his entire stream went dark. My comms, once a symphony of joy, erupted into a shriek of static. The screams came next, not shouts of triumph, but pure, unfiltered terror. "Missile! Missile!" From where? A voice cried out. The music cut, replaced by the frantic, panicked tones of our radar lock alarms. It was an ambush, but not a conventional one. This wasn't a dogfight. This was a hit and run, a surgical act of violence. I saw 2 other explosions, bright orange and yellow, and heard the desperate voice of our comms officer trying to get a status check. I broke formation and banked hard, my fighter's lights suddenly a terrible liability in the pitch-black night. I wasn't celebrating anymore. I was a target. I pulled into a climb and looked back. The resort below, once a beacon of neon light and celebration, was in chaos. The base was gone. The lights were flashing red. In the air, a burning wreckage spiraled toward the sea. The feeling in my chest was not one of fear, but of profound violation. They didn't just attack us, they attacked our victory. They came not for our jets, but for our brand. I landed a few minutes later on the carrier, my fighter's engines now a harsh, angry sound in the sudden silence. The lights of the carrier deck were all a sterile white. The neon was gone. The music was gone. On the command screen, a single line flashed. Laser's pilot's fund has been liquidated. He was gone. The joy had been completely, brutally, and permanently erased. This wasn't a game to them. This was a war of souls. Their funeral flight wasn't a moment of mourning. It was a ritual to prepare for this. They didn't just want to win a fight, they wanted to take away our triumph. The Synthwave Syndicate had won the battle, but the Black Metal Brigade had just started the war. The game was no longer about skill or strategy. It was about which of us would break first. And for the first time, I wasn't so sure we were winning. Sure, a sports betting platform would be a natural and inevitable extension of the Libra flight sims ecosystem. Here's how it could work. Proposed platform, EtherBet. EtherBet would be a notional betting platform integrated directly into the Libra Flight Sims 2050 client and its connected creator network. The system would leverage the game's persistent world and high-stakes permadeath mechanic to create a dynamic, live odds betting market. Unlike traditional esports, where the outcome is about a win or loss in a round, Ether-based markets would be built around the concept of attrition and consequence. Betting markets. The types of bets available would go far beyond simple match outcomes, leveraging the deep, narrative-driven nature of the game. 1. Squadron and mission bets. These are the most common bets, focusing on the overall success or failure of a squadron's operation. Contract completion. A simple bet on whether a squadron will successfully complete its contracted mission objective, e.g., will the Synthwave Syndicate deliver the data packet? Squadron attrition. A bet on the number of pilots a squadron will lose during a specific mission or an entire campaign. This is the ultimate survival bet, directly tied to the game's core philosophy. Narrative bets. These are unique, high-yield bets based on the evolving story. For example, will the Black Metal Brigade successfully exact vengeance on the Synthwave Syndicate in their next encounter?
Corridors of neon flame, where no crown weighs a noble brow, and every man is just the same. No oath, no throne, no vow. I ache for torches in the rain, for armor's hymn, for battle's breath, for scars that write a truer name than this quiet screen lit death. Let me live where the king still reign, where swords are truth, where spears proclaim. Take these neon skies, these hollow years, I trade them all for the clash of spears. Oh heavens, hear me through
In Flight Sims 2050, the concept of gladiatorial combat is not a metaphor, it is the core of the experience. The permadeath mechanic transforms every pilot into a gladiator and the persistent online world into an arena where every flight is a high-stakes struggle for survival. The arena and the crowd. The digital arena is the persistent Black Sea Theater, a world where every piece of wreckage is a permanent monument to a fallen aviator. This is no temporary map that resets after a match. It is a living, breathing stage where the outcome of every fight is forever etched into the landscape and the memory of the community. The crowd is the live streaming audience, whose power is far more subtle and pervasive than a simple thumbs up or thumbs down. Their collective attention and financial support through the Pilots Fund and sponsorships are the lifeblood of the spectacle. Their cheers don't save a pilot, but their engagement is the very reason the gladiator is in the arena. The more dangerous the fight, the higher the viewership, and the greater the potential reward. This creates a terrifying feedback loop where a pilot's fame is directly proportional to the risk of their permanent, digital death. The gladiators and their fate. The digital aviator is the modern gladiator. They are not just a player, they are a brand, a persona whose entire career is a constant negotiation with mortality. Their life is a tangible resource, with a finite number of good flights separating them from oblivion. The squadron leader acts as the Lanista, the gladiator manager, whose reputation and livelihood depend entirely on their pilot's ability to survive and win. The stakes are shockingly high, far beyond a scoreboard. A pilot's death is not a respawn, it is a permanent and public event. The loss is total, the character is erased, the pilot's fund is liquidated, and a tangible hit is taken to the squadron's reputation and morale. Every time a pilot climbs into the cockpit, they know this could be the final flight, and their death will become a public, monetized spectacle for their audience. This brutal reality creates a level of authentic drama that no scripted narrative can replicate, and it taps directly into the same psychological core that made the Roman arena so compelling. The Super Bowl of Libra flight sims would need to be a spectacle that combines the high stakes of its permadeath system with a grand-scale narrative and event format. Here are 5 ideas for a championship event that could capture that energy. 1. The Final Flight Invitational. This would be an end-of-season tournament for the top 8 surviving pilots. The core premise is that the winner gets a massive, career-defining prize, but the stakes are simple. No pilot can leave the tournament alive. All competitors must either win or face permanent, in-game death. This format ensures every engagement is a nail-biting, life-or-death struggle, turning the event into a public, digital sacrifice for glory. It's the ultimate gladiatorial spectacle. 2. The Attrition Bowl. Instead of a single match, this is a multi-squadron, all-out war of attrition. The 10-hour event would have no breaks, no respawns. The objective is for each squadron to eliminate the others until only one pilot or a single squadron remains. The winner is the last one flying. This format favors the ruthless and cunning, rewarding the squadrons with the most efficient logistics, psychological fortitude, and a deep, unrelenting commitment to their brand of warfare. 3. The Black Sea Blitz. This tournament is a high-speed, high-visibility event that would appeal to the Synthwave Syndicate's aesthetic. A large, complex target is designated, a digital oil rig, a high-tech city, or a communications array. Squadrons compete to perform a precision strike on the target in the fastest time possible while battling other squadrons in a free-for-all. The challenge is to maintain speed and efficiency while dealing with opposition, with the added threat of friendly fire. The team that completes the objective first, regardless of losses, is the champion. 4. The Gauntlet of Grief. A unique, narrative-driven challenge for the Black Metal Brigade. A single pilot would be challenged to fly a difficult, single-life mission against the entire roster of a rival squadron. They would have to survive and complete a series of punishing objectives. The psychological pressure and physical isolation of the challenge would make the entire event a grim, tense, and thrilling spectacle. If they fail, they are gone forever. If they succeed, they become a legend. 5. The Syndicate Showdown. This would be the ultimate clash of ideologies. The event would be a best-of-7 series, with each match having a different format designed to favor one squadron's philosophy over the other. One round would be a high-altitude, low-visibility dogfight, while the next would be a close-quarters, urban assault. The final match would be a massive, no-holds-barred dogfight with no rules, all to determine which squadron's philosophy is superior. The champion wins not just a trophy, but the right to define the meta for the next season. Yes, brand sponsorships on planes are a natural and fitting option for a subset of the Libra flight sims model, particularly within the no breaks, no respawns, vertical slice study. This aligns with the philosophy by combat ethos, where real-world capitalism and ideology are expressed through in-game conflict. The sponsorship model. Applying a NASCAR-style sponsorship model to Libra Flight Sims 2050 wouldn't just be about aesthetics. It would be a core mechanic of the influencer economy. Direct sponsorships. Corporations could sponsor individual pilots or entire squadrons. This would manifest as branded liveries on the aircraft, much like race cars. A high-profile pilot with a strong brand, like a member of the Synthwave Syndicate, would secure a high-value sponsorship from an electronics company, with their F-35 painted in the company's colors and logo. A squadron known for its green philosophy, like Green Wing, might secure a sponsorship from an environmental tech firm. In-game advertising. Beyond just planes, static and dynamic billboards could be placed within the game world, displaying real-world ads. This would be a passive income stream for the developers and a way for sponsors to target a highly engaged audience. Philosophy by combat. The brilliance of this system is how it turns sponsorship into an extension of the in-game conflict. Vulnerability as a commodity. A brand sponsoring a pilot in a permadeath environment is taking on a risk. If their pilot is shot down and permanently lost, the brand suffers public association with that failure. This could be a powerful narrative driver. A brand might sponsor a pilot specifically because they're a risk taker, banking on their victories to generate a high return, or their death to create a viral, tragic moment. Conflict as marketing. Rivalries wouldn't just be about pilots, they'd be about competing brands. A dogfight between a pilot sponsored by a Japanese electronics company and one sponsored by an American competitor becomes a proxy battle for market dominance. A successful kill becomes a live-action, high-stakes advertisement for the winning brand. This system takes the gladiatorial combat model a step further. The gladiators aren't just fighting for their lives, they're fighting to protect their sponsor's reputation and market share. Their combat is a philosophical expression of the consumer brands they represent. It's a perfect synthesis of gaming, capitalism, and unscripted, high-stakes drama. Conflict as marketing is the deliberate use of opposition, rivalry, or a perceived threat as a central element of a brand's public identity and messaging. It's a strategy that turns confrontation into a compelling narrative, driving customer loyalty and engagement. Conflict as marketing is the deliberate use of opposition, rivalry, or a perceived threat as a central element of a brand's public identity and messaging. It's a strategy that turns confrontation into a compelling narrative, driving customer loyalty and engagement. This concept goes beyond simple advertising. It's about creating a story where the brand isn't just selling a product, but is actively fighting for a cause, a philosophy, or a market position against a defined adversary. General application. At its core, this strategy taps into the human psychology of tribalism. When a brand identifies an antagonist, it allows consumers to align themselves with its cause, creating a sense of shared identity and purpose. This conflict can be explicit, like a competitor-to-competitor rivalry, e.g., the historical Cola Wars between Coke and Pepsi. Alternatively, the conflict can be more ideological, positioning the brand against a concept, such as outdated technology, unhealthy habits, or the status quo. This type of marketing turns a brand's products or services into tools for a revolution, inviting customers to become participants in a larger movement. The drama of the conflict creates a compelling narrative arc, a hero brand fighting a villainous competitor or a regressive idea, which is far more memorable and engaging than a simple list of product features. Application to Libra flight sims. In the Libra flight sims universe, conflict as marketing is not just a strategy, it's the fundamental engine of the entire ecosystem. The permadeath mechanic, the subculture-based squadrons, and the influencer economy are all designed to turn conflict into a permanent, highly marketable asset. 1. Brands as ideologies. Instead of a generic ad on a digital billboard, a brand's sponsorship of a squadron becomes an endorsement of that squadron's philosophy. A clean energy company sponsoring Green Wing is not just advertising, it's positioning itself as an ideological counterpoint to a rival corporation's sponsored corporate collective squadron. A high-stakes dogfight is no longer just a match, it's a live-action, high-octane battle for market dominance and moral superiority, all broadcast to a captivated audience. 2. Narrative weaponization. The permanent loss of a pilot is the most powerful marketing tool in this system. When a sponsored pilot from the Synthwave Syndicate is shot down by the Black Metal Brigade, the sponsor gets an unprecedented level of drama and engagement. This isn't just a pilot failing, it's a sponsored brand being attacked. The ensuing funeral flight and calls for vengeance create a narrative that drives viewership and brand recognition in a way no traditional ad campaign ever could. The sponsor is not just buying ad space, they are buying into a serialized, high-consequence drama. 3. The audience as participants. The audience isn't just a spectator, they're an ally in the conflict. Through betting on the outcomes or donating to a squadron's pilots fund, they are directly investing in the conflict's outcome. This transforms the consumer into an active participant in a brand's war, forging a level of loyalty far beyond what traditional marketing can achieve. Ultimately, in this model, every shot fired is a strategic marketing move, and every lost pilot is a tragic, unforgettable brand moment. Applying this concept of non-ideological, geo-locked conflict to Libra flight sims creates a fascinating and deeply plausible form of rivalry. It bypasses the need for complex backstories and taps directly into a real, historic form of human conflict: territorial disputes. A Michigan squadron fighting an Ohio squadron isn't based on a philosophical divide like synthwave versus black metal. It's a conflict rooted in geography and, as history shows, often fueled by a long-standing, intense regional rivalry. The Ohio-Michigan rivalry, a perfect blueprint. The long-standing rivalry between Michigan and Ohio is a great example of how this would work. The conflict's roots go back to the Toledo War of 1835 to 1836, a near war over a disputed strip of land now known as the Toledo Strip. While it ultimately resulted in little bloodshed, the animosity created a lasting rivalry, most famously expressed in the brutal and intense football games between the University of Michigan and Ohio State University. This historical foundation gives the in-game conflict an instant, visceral authenticity. In the world of Libra flight sims, this would manifest as geographical loyalty. Pilots would be recruited based on their real-world location. If you live in Michigan, you are part of the Wolverine Squadron, and your gear would be themed in the state's colors of maize and blue. Pilots from Ohio would be Buckeye Squadron and fly in scarlet and gray. Territorial stakes. The conflicts would be over specific, in-game territories that are symbolically important to each region. A mission might involve fighting for control of a virtual Toledo or the shipping lanes of a simulated Lake Erie. Real-world consequences. The stakes would feel incredibly real because they are tied to a real-world, non-ideological identity. When a Michigan pilot is permanently shot down by an Ohio pilot, it's not just a digital loss, it's a strike against their regional identity. This is a far deeper form of tribalism than an aesthetic one, making the victories and losses feel much more personal. This model makes the game's high stakes immediately understandable to a broader audience who might not relate to a black metal aesthetic but can instantly grasp the animosity between two rival regions. A video about the historical origins of a major college sports rivalry can help provide context for how these regional conflicts can become so deeply ingrained. How Ohio State versus Michigan rivalry became the greatest rivalry in sports.
They build their houses high, spires piercing different clouds, and inside the walls are
They build their houses high, spires piercing in different clouds, and inside the walls are
Your request
polished.
for "no more unasked for Googling" has been noted. The concept of geo-locked squadrons based on non-ideological identities, like the Michigan versus Ohio rivalry, is a perfect fit for a different application of Libra. This approach provides a natural and plausible conflict, leveraging real-world, deeply ingrained rivalries rather than fictional ones. The model in practice: city-based rivalries. Beyond states, this model could be applied to cities with their own rich histories of competition. This would create a hyper-local, yet globally accessible, form of conflict. Los Angeles versus New York. Imagine a squadron of LA pilots in bright, sunny liveries fighting a squadron of NY pilots in gritty, graffiti-themed aircraft over control of a virtual Times Square. This would tap into the historical rivalry between the two cities in sports, entertainment, and culture. Boston versus Philadelphia. This rivalry, rooted in sports and history, could translate into a brutal in-game conflict. A Boston Tea Party squadron could engage a brotherly love squadron, each with their own unique gear and tactics reflective of their city's identity. This approach offers a different flavor of philosophy by combat. Instead of fighting for a brand or an aesthetic, players are fighting for the pride of their hometown. The stakes are personal, non-ideological, and immediately understandable, making the victories and losses feel deeply significant. It's a way to turn localized, real-world tensions into a compelling and engaging game mechanic. Alright, let's paint a picture of how a geo-locked, non-ideological conflict in Libra Flight Sims 2050 would manifest in traditional news media, focusing on a deeply ingrained, historical rivalry. The Toledo Strip Wars. Michigan and Ohio clash in the digital skies. The Detroit Alright, let's paint a picture of how a geo-locked, non-ideological conflict in Libra Flight Sims 2050 would manifest in traditional news media, focusing on a deeply ingrained, historical rivalry. The Toledo Strip Wars. Michigan and Ohio clash in the digital skies. The Detroit Free Press, local news and gaming section. Lansing, Michigan. What began as an online flight simulation has escalated into a startlingly real-world proxy war, reigniting one of America's most enduring regional rivalries. The Toledo Strip Wars, a series of high-stakes, permadeath engagements within the groundbreaking Libra flightsim 2050 platform, have pitted digital aviators representing Michigan against their counterparts from Ohio, turning the virtual skies over Lake Erie into a new battleground for regional pride. For decades, the animosity between Michigan and Ohio has been confined largely to the football field and good-natured banter. But Libra flightsim 2050, with its unique, geo-locked squadron model, has given this rivalry a shocking new outlet. Players are assigned to squadrons based on their verified real-world location, flying aircraft custom-painted with state colors and symbols. The stakes are brutally simple: permanent in-game death for pilots, and territorial control for their state. This isn't just about pixels on a screen, stated Governor Gretchen Whitmer in a recent press conference, responding to a question about the escalating digital conflict. When Wolverine Squadron defends a virtual port of Toledo, they're defending Michigan. Our pilots are showing the grit and determination this state is known for. The flashpoint of the current conflict is, fittingly, the digital recreation of the Toledo Strip, the very parcel of land over which Michigan and Ohio nearly went to war in 1835. Control of key digital assets within this zone, from shipping lanes on a meticulously rendered Lake Erie to simulated industrial complexes, has become the focus of daily, live-streamed engagements that draw hundreds of thousands of viewers. Last Tuesday, a critical mission saw Wolverine Squadron, flying their distinctive maize and blue FA-18s, attempt to establish a long-range radar picket over the virtual Maumee River. The objective: secure crucial intel on simulated cargo movements for Michigan's in-game economy. Buckeye Squadron, flying aggressive scarlet and gray F-16s from a digital airfield near Sandusky, Ohio, launched a fierce interception. The battle, streamed live across multiple pilot channels, was brutal. Spartan, a Michigan pilot with a dedicated local following, was permanently lost in a desperate, low-altitude dogfight. His last moments, a grainy digital explosion, were broadcast live, his pilot's fund immediately liquidated, and his name etched onto Michigan's in-game memorial wall. "It hit us hard," admitted Torch, Wolverine Squadron's leader, in a post-mission debrief streamed from his home in Grand Rapids. Spartan was a fantastic pilot, put in hundreds of hours. To lose him to an Ohio jet, that's a wound that doesn't just heal. The reaction in Michigan has been swift and passionate. Sports bars across the state hosted viewing parties for the skirmishes. Local news channels have been running segments tracking the kill counts and territorial gains. Social media is ablaze with Michigan residents rallying behind Wolverine Squadron, sending donations to the remaining pilots' funds and openly rooting for digital destruction against their Ohio rivals. The Toledo Blade, opinion section. Toledo, Ohio. The headlines scream of digital war and Michigan aggression, but here in Toledo, we see it for what it is: a continuation of a struggle that is as old as our state itself. The Wolverine Squadron may fly fancy digital jets, but their tactics are as transparent as their inflated sense of superiority. They seek to dominate our virtual waterways, to control the very essence of what makes Toledo, Toledo, even if it's just in pixels. Last week's engagement, where our brave Buckeye Squadron defended the Maumee, was a testament to Ohio grit. While a Michigan pilot was lost, a tragedy, to be sure, in any context, it was a necessary defense against an encroachment that, however digital, feels historically familiar. Our pilots, many of whom are active-duty military or veteran reservists, don't just see a game, they see a virtual border that demands vigilance. The Buckeye Squadron operates not with grandstanding and inflated boasts, but with the quiet determination that defines our state. Their sponsorships, from local Ohio businesses, reflect a deep connection to our community. They are fighting for us, for Toledo, for Ohio, in a way that resonates far beyond the digital realm. Let Michigan play their games of dominance. Ohio will simply outlast them. The New York Times, National Culture and Technology. New York, New York. The Toledo Strip Wars in Libra flightsim 2050 offer a fascinating, and at times unsettling, glimpse into the future of digital tribalism. With geo-locked squadrons and permadeath, the game has inadvertently tapped into a powerful psychological wellspring, the enduring human need for local identity and rivalry. Analysts are calling this the next evolution of esports, where authentic, non-ideological conflicts like the Michigan-Ohio feud can generate massive engagement. It's brilliant in its simplicity, says Dr. Elena Petrova, a sociologist specializing in online communities. You don't need complex lore when you have generations of real-world animosity. The game merely provides the stage, and players bring their pre-existing tribal allegiances to the fore. The economic impact is also significant. Local businesses in both Michigan and Ohio are sponsoring their respective squadrons, seeing it as a direct investment in local pride and an unprecedented advertising opportunity within highly engaged communities. News outlets, from small-town weeklies to major city dailies, are dedicating extensive coverage to the digital battles, transforming what might otherwise be niche gaming content into compelling local news. As the digital skies over the Black Sea become a mirror for rivalries forged in distant American states, the Toledo Strip Wars prove that in the realm of Libra Flight Sims 2050, the most potent weapon isn't always a missile. Sometimes, it's just a century-old grudge, reignited and broadcast to the world.
Can you see me through the veil? Walk the edge of fractured dream with eyes split open at the seam. Faces turn static glow, but the real or shadows I don't know. The pulse is loud, it's in my veins. The sirens pull through endless chains that scream my truth, but it's undone by the echo of a loaded gun. Through the veil of the infinite I rise, tearing through the silence of their lies. In the chaos I am free to burst, a flame they'll never tame or turn. City hums with hollow beats, stealing glass beneath my feet. I trade my soul for a fleeting high, but stars still judge me from the sky. Wise to escape in a game of thoughts I'll never win. I call the dark for something.
The smell of stale beer and fried pickles hung heavy in the air, thick with the tension of 100 breathing bodies. The Buckeye Blitz, as O'Malley's Pub had christened tonight's viewing party, was a sea of scarlet and gray. Every TV in the place, from the jumbo projection screen above the bar to the small, dusty flat screen in the corner, was tuned to the multi-stream feed of the Libra Flight Sims 2050 battle. Tonight, it wasn't just pixels. Tonight, Ohio was fighting. My eyes were glued to the main screen, where Brutus, one of Buckeye Squadron's most popular pilots, was streaming. Brutus, a former OSU ROTC kid turned digital ace, was flying an F-16 painted Scarlet with a block O on its tail. The target, a vital virtual logistics hub near the simulated Lake Erie coastline, currently under Wolverine Squadron control. The bar erupted when Brutus's stream showed him breaking formation, diving low, and weaving through a digital forest. "Go, Brutus, go!" Someone roared, slamming a fist on the table. Beer sloshed. My own heart hammered, not just from the adrenaline, but from the $300 I had riding on Buckeye Victory, low attrition on the EtherBet app. The odds had been good, but Michigan was notoriously aggressive. The comms from Brutus's stream, amplified through the pub's sound system, were a mixture of tactical calls and tense breathing. "Bogey, high 10 o'clock, a wingman called out. On screen, a maize and blue FA-18 flashed into view. The bar collectively held its breath. He's on him. Get him, Brutus. A burst of cannon fire, a flurry of flares from Brutus's jet. The Michigan pilot, Sparty, was good. He was matching Brutus's turns, trying to get into a firing solution. The virtual dogfight was a dizzying ballet of speed and G-forces. Every time Brutus pulled a hard maneuver, the crowd at O'Malley's leaned into it, as if their physical exertion could somehow influence the digital physics. Then, disaster. Brutus is hit. The shout came from the barman, his face pale. On screen, Brutus's HUD flickered red. A warning blared from his cockpit speakers. Flight control degradation, losing hydraulic pressure. A collective groan swept through the pub. My stomach dropped. This was it. This was the permadeath. I could see my $300 evaporating. The silence was deafening, save for the frantic calls from Brutus's wingman, Guardian, trying to give him cover. I'm disengaging. Guardian, provide cover. I'm limping home. Brutus's voice, usually calm, was strained with effort. He's running. He's running. A mixture of relief and frustration filled the bar. The bet wasn't lost yet, but a damaged jet counted as high attrition. We needed him to make it back to base. Suddenly, the projection screen shifted. It wasn't following Brutus anymore. It had automatically switched to Guardian's perspective. Guardian, flying a red F-16 with a subtle Buckeye leaf emblem, was now engaged in a furious 2-on-1 fight against Sparty and another Michigan jet. Guardian, Guardian. The crowd rallied, their despair turning into desperate hope. Guardian was outmatched, but he was fighting like a demon. He was drawing fire, buying Brutus time. He knew what he was doing, sacrificing himself to save his wingman, to save the mission's integrity, to save our bets. The fight was short, brutal. Guardian's jet exploded in a brilliant, fiery burst. His stream went dark. The bar went silent, permanently gone, a hero's sacrifice. But then, a triumphant roar erupted. The main screen flashed back to Brutus's perspective. His jet, smoking and scarred, was on final approach to the digital airfield. He touched down hard, bouncing once, then screeching to a halt. He had made it. He had survived. The mission was a success, but at a cost. The pub exploded. Cheers, high fives, beer sloshing everywhere. My $300 was safe, albeit with lower payout due to the high attrition. But it wasn't just about the money. It was about Guardian. His name, Guardian, would now be etched onto the in-game memorial wall, a testament to his sacrifice. To Guardian, the barman yelled, raising a shot glass. 100 voices echoed him, the clinking of glasses a mournful salute to a fallen digital warrior. The Ohio versus Michigan rivalry wasn't just a game. It was a visceral, heartbreaking, and ultimately triumphant reflection of real-world pride, played out in the digital skies. To Guardian, the barman yells, raising a shot glass. This simple act of a mournful salute is the linchpin that makes the entire Libra Flight Sim's 2050 model work. It's the moment where the virtual and the real merge, proving that the game's high stakes are not just a gimmick, but a powerful emotional and economic engine. The power of parasocial sacrifice. This moment demonstrates that the audience's investment in the pilots is deeply personal and goes beyond the game. They aren't just watching an anonymous player, they are watching a real person embodying a heroic character. Guardian's sacrifice is a narrative event that has real-world emotional weight for the viewers. His permadeath is not a scoreboard tally, it's a personal tragedy that resonates with them, driving a sense of sorrow and admiration. This emotional bond, known as a parasocial relationship, is what makes the content so compelling and the audience so fiercely loyal. The justification of the economy. The toast to Guardian is the symbolic act that justifies the entire monetized ecosystem. People in that bar likely lost money on their Ether-bet wagers, but the emotional payoff of Guardian's heroic sacrifice makes the financial loss feel meaningful. It validates their investment in the game, in the squadron, and in the individual pilot. It proves that the permadeath mechanic, and the money associated with it, is not just about profit, it's about a higher narrative of honor and self-sacrifice. This is the gladiatorial combat principle in full effect. The audience pays for the spectacle, and the tragic heroism of the fallen warrior provides an immense return on that emotional investment. It's the ultimate expression of conflict as marketing, turning a permanent loss into a powerful, memorable, and profitable brand moment.
Voltage from the stick, the vectors glow. Engine burns, still a streak, a fire down below. Chasing down the darkness, a shadow in the night. Every turn of voltage, a glimmer of the light. With a neon ascension, on the rising ride. Never run from the pressure, nowhere left to hide. Cross the digital ocean, a thunder in the sky. In this realm with the endless, we're built to never die. Your signals flicker, your whispers turn to static. You deal in phantoms, your movement's so erratic. We cut the ghost trail, no longer in the void. Our colors scream a message, make flow you can destroy. A thunder in the sky. Voltage through the stick, the vectors glow. Engine burns, still a streak, a fire down below. Chasing down the darkness, a shadow in the night. Every turn of voltage, a glimmer of the light. With a neon ascension, on the rise and ride. Never run from the pressure, nowhere left to hide. Cross the digital ocean, a thunder in the sky. In this realm with the endless, we're built to never die. Your signals flicker, your whispers turn to static. You deal in phantoms, your movement's so erratic. We cut the ghost trail, no longer in the void. Our colors scream a message, make flow you can destroy. Ascension, on the rise and ride. Never running from the pressure, nowhere left to hide. Cross the digital ocean, a thunder in the sky. In this realm with the endless, we're built to never die. The sky is a blackness, a canvas for the war. Well, every burn is a promise, and brands are blue for. Don't you feel the power? A pulse from deep inside. You can run, but you can't run from the place where we reside. Pressure, built to never die. Ascension.
A parasocial relationship is a one-sided psychological bond where a person develops a feeling of familiarity and intimacy with a media figure, despite the figure being unaware of their existence. While often harmless, this dynamic, when applied to a high-stakes, permadeath environment like Libra flight sims, introduces significant dangers. Monetization of emotional distress. In the Libra flight sims universe, the primary danger is the deliberate monetization of an audience's emotional distress. The game's economy is built to capitalize on the tragedy of a pilot's permanent loss. When a fan watches a pilot like Guardian sacrifice himself and feels a genuine sense of grief, the system turns that grief into a commodity. The pub's mournful salute to Guardian is the emotional trigger that drives a surge of donations to the pilot's fund of surviving team members and encourages betting on future revenge missions. This system doesn't just entertain, it actively monetizes a fan's psychological vulnerability, turning their heartfelt sadness into a new revenue stream. The blurring of reality. The "to Guardian" salute also exemplifies a dangerous blurring of the line between reality and the digital world. The fans in the bar are experiencing genuine, shared emotion over a digital event. While the sacrifice is a strategic move by a player, the audience feels the consequence as if a real person had been lost. This can lead to an unhealthy attachment where fans may struggle to differentiate the virtual persona from the real person behind the screen. When the stakes are this high, a viewer may begin to invest an unhealthy amount of emotional energy, time, and money into a relationship that is fundamentally one-sided. The weaponization of tribalism. The geo-locked, non-ideological conflict amplifies the risk. A fan's emotional connection to a pilot like Brutus isn't just about a personality, it's an extension of their real-world loyalty to Ohio. This intense tribalism can turn a parasocial relationship into a tool for harassment and cyberbullying against rival pilots and their fanbases. The emotional attachment to "our guys" can lead to aggressive behavior toward "their guys," with the virtual conflict spilling over into real-world animosity and making the online space a toxic environment.
The vectors blow, engine runs silver streak, a fire down below, chasing down the darkness, a shadow in the night. Every turn of voltage, a glimmer of the light. With a neon session, born to rise and ride, never running from the pressure, nowhere left to hide. Across the digital ocean, a thunder in the sky. In this realm of the endless, we're built to never die. Your signals flicker, your whispers send static. You deal in phantoms, your movement's so erratic. We cut the ghost trail, no longer in the void. Our colors scream a message, with audio being destroyed. With a neon session, born to rise and ride, never running from the pressure, nowhere left to hide. Across the digital ocean, a thunder in the sky. In this realm of the endless, we're built to never die. The sky is a blackness, a canvas for the war. Let every burn is a promise, and the brand we stand for. Don't you feel the power? Our pulse from deep inside. You run, you can't run from this web inside. To never die, never running from the pressure. Ascension, ascension.
You're right, professional wrestling is an excellent model for this. The wrestling industry has mastered the art of managing the parasocial relationship by creating a shared understanding with its audience, a concept known as kayfabe. The unspoken agreement is, we'll present a theatrical, worked conflict with real emotions, and you'll emotionally invest as if it's real, but we're all in on the gimmick. This creates a safe space for extreme drama without the baggage of literal, real-world consequence. This fantasy class approach could certainly be applied to Libra flight sims, but the dangers aren't fully eliminated. The wrestling model, why it works. Professional wrestling succeeds by channeling emotional investment into a controlled narrative. The audience is educated on the rules of the show. There are clear heroes, faces, and villains, heels, and the violence is choreographed. The worked shoot, a performance that deliberately blurs the line between scripted and real, is a powerful tool because both the performer and the audience understand the fundamental boundary. This shared knowledge makes the intense emotional experience cathartic rather than psychologically harmful. The glitch in the gimmick, why it's still dangerous. The Libra flight sims model contains a critical variable that breaks the wrestling analogy, permadeath. The finality of death. In wrestling, a character's death is almost always temporary. The Undertaker can die and return to the ring. In our sim, when a pilot like Guardian is lost, they are gone forever. The grief and a sense of permanent, irreversible loss are real emotions that are not part of the wrestling contract. A fan can watch a wrestling hero get injured and know they'll be back, but the loss of a Libra pilot is final. The lack of control. Professional wrestling is a highly controlled, centralized narrative. Promoters decide the outcomes, and they can prevent a heel from going too far or a rivalry from becoming genuinely dangerous. The Libra model is decentralized and unscripted. The Ohio versus Michigan conflict is real, and the pilot's performance is genuine. This means the emotional investment is not in a choreographed story, but in an unpredictable event. This unpredictability is a core appeal, but it also means the community can't stop a rivalry from turning genuinely vicious or hateful. Real-world stakes. A wrestler's job is to entertain, but a Libra pilot's performance has real, financial stakes tied to sponsorships and the pilot's fund. The blurring of lines between the performance and the real person is far more pronounced. Fans are not just cheering for a character, they are cheering for a real person's career and livelihood, making the relationship more susceptible to unhealthy obsession and potential harassment. The fantasy class would be a good step, and it would likely make the community more self-aware. But it cannot change the fundamental nature of the game, that it is a genuine, high-stakes competition with permanent consequences. The dangers of a parasocial relationship are still very real because the product being consumed is not just a show, but a life or death gamble.
Voltage through the stick, the vectors glow. Engine burns a silver streak of fire down below. Chasing down the darkness, a shadow in the night. Every turn of voltage, a glimmer of a light. With a neon ascension, born to rise and ride. Never running from the pressure, nowhere left to hide. Cross the digital ocean, thunder in the sky. In this realm of the endless, we're built to never die. Your signals flicker, your whispers turn to static. You deal in phantoms, your movements so erratic. We cut the ghost trail, ascension. It is no longer in the void. Our colors stream a message, with all your fear destroy. On ascension, born to rise and ride. Never running from the pressure, nowhere left to hide. Cross the digital ocean, thunder in the sky. In this realm of the endless, we're built to never die. The sky is a blackness, a canvas for the war. But every burden is a promise, and a brand we stand for. Don't you feel the power, a pulse from deep inside? You can run, but you can't run from the place where we reside. Built to never die, ascension.
That's the core of the argument. The dangers are real, but they are not unique to this model. They are inherent to any form of competitive spectacle where the audience forms a deep, emotional connection to the competitors. The key to success is to manage those downsides, not to eliminate them. The inherent risk of high-stakes spectacle. The risks you've raised, unhealthy obsession, emotional distress, and even real-world harassment, are not exclusive to Libre flight sims. They are a known part of modern professional sports. From fans harassing referees to extreme tribalism that turns violent, these are all symptoms of an audience's deep emotional investment. The difference is that Libre flight sims is transparent about this dynamic and builds it into the business model. By acknowledging the risk upfront, and even monetizing it in a contained, digital way, the model provides a unique form of a safety valve. The public nature of the permadeath event, the funeral flight, the memorial walls, the pilot's fund liquidation, acts as a ritual for collective grief and a release for the intense emotions. It contains the drama within the digital arena, making the consequences clear and final without resorting to real-world violence. A strength to be managed, not avoided. Ultimately, the model's greatest strength is its ability to generate an unprecedented level of authentic, unscripted drama. The permadeath mechanic is the central engine for this, creating a compelling narrative that is impossible to replicate in a scripted show. The ABCD of the model is authenticity. The stakes are real. The victories and losses are permanent. Engagement. The audience is deeply invested through parasocial relationships, geo-locked rivalries, and the betting system. Narrative. The unscripted nature of the conflict creates a powerful, evolving story. Monetization. The emotional investment is directly monetized through sponsorships, donations, and betting. So yes, there's a warning to be given. But the potential rewards are enormous. The key isn't to prevent the deep emotional investment. That's the entire point. It's to educate the audience and the creators on how to manage it, ensuring the conflict stays in the digital sky and doesn't spill over into the real world.
Voltage through the stick, the vectors glow. Engine burns a silver streak, a fire down below. Chasing down the darkness, a shadow in the night. Every turn of voltage, a glimmer of the light. We're the neon ascension, born to rise and ride, never running from the pressure. Nowhere left to hide across the digital ocean. A thunder in the sky, in this realm of the endless. We're built to never die. Your signals flicker, your whispers turn to static. You deal in phantoms, your movements so erratic. We cut the ghost trail, no longer in the void. Our colors scream a message, with all your fear destroyed. We're the neon ascension, born to rise and ride, never running from the pressure. Nowhere left to hide across the digital ocean. A thunder in the sky, in this realm of the endless. We're built to never die. The sky is a blackness, a canvas for the war. But every burn is a promise, and a brand we stand for. Don't you feel the power? A pulse from deep inside. You can run, but you can't run from the place where we reside. Never running from the pressure, built to never die. Ascension, ascension.
Here are 5 new ideas for the Libre flight sims model that we have not discussed. 1. Pilot sabotage and espionage. This introduces a clandestine layer to the conflict. Rather than just dogfighting, pilots could be paid to perform missions that aren't about direct combat. This includes digital infiltration to steal a rival squadron's flight plan, or physical sabotage of a hangar to degrade a competitor's aircraft systems before a high-stakes mission. This adds a new revenue stream for pilots and turns a pilot's digital persona into a potential spy. It would be a high-risk, high-reward role for players who are great at stealth but not necessarily combat aces. 2. The Legacy, Fund and Hall of Legends. Even in death, a pilot can generate revenue. When a pilot is permanently lost, their pilot's fund is not liquidated. Instead, a portion is transferred to a legacy fund. This fund earns interest based on the pilot's fame, a metric based on their number of in-game kills, viral moments, and the final views of their last flight video. The interest from this fund could be used to sponsor new, improved pilots, or it could be held in perpetuity as a digital monument to a pilot's career. The pilot's digital ghost becomes a patron for the next generation. 3. Dynamic narrative events. The simulation itself could introduce unpredictable, non-player-driven events that force squadrons to react. These could be natural disasters, a global pandemic that grounds civilian aircraft and creates new missions, or the emergence of a rogue AI that attacks all squadrons indiscriminately. These events would force alliances and betrayals, providing fresh narrative hooks that keep the conflict from becoming stagnant and giving the audience a sense of a living, breathing world. 4. Resource attrition and supply chain warfare. Beyond just losing pilots, squadrons would have to manage their logistics. Each mission would have a real-world cost in simulated fuel, ammunition, and spare parts. This would create a new category of missions focused on asset transport and strategic denial. For example, a squadron could attack a rival's fuel convoy, crippling their ability to fly long-range missions for a period. This makes every shot fired a calculated risk against a squadron's finite resources, adding a deeper layer of strategy. 5. The Libra Council and political factions. The simulation could evolve to include a player-run governing body or different political factions. Squadrons could align with these factions to gain access to better gear, sponsorships, or mission contracts. A pilot's fame would not only earn them money but also political capital. A pilot could be elected to the council, where they would vote on the game's evolving rules or even initiate conflicts. This would turn the sim into a political battleground, where victories are won not just in the sky, but in the halls of power. Good afternoon. Thank you for your time. I'm not here to talk to you about a video game. I'm here to talk about a new form of entertainment that captures and monetizes the most valuable and elusive resource in media today: authentic, unscripted human emotion. Right now, you're looking at a market in crisis. Esports is a $2 billion industry, but its growth is stagnating. Why? Because it's repetitive. It's the same teams on the same maps, running the same plays. There's no genuine drama. Traditional reality TV is worse. It's scripted, manufactured, and the audience knows it. They're tired of the manufactured drama. They're craving something real. Something with consequence. That's where we come in. This is Libra Flight Sims 2050. But don't call it a game. Call it a living, unscripted drama engine. It's a persistent, online digital theater where the stakes are life and death, and the drama is always real. At its core, our business model is built on one simple, brutal mechanic: permadeath. Our pilots are not just players, they are digital aviators. They are performers, influencers, and gladiators all at once. When a pilot is shot down, they are permanently, publicly, and in-game, gone. Their career is over, and that is where the magic happens. We're monetizing this reality in a completely new way. We have 3 primary revenue streams that will make this model profitable from day one. First, audience monetization. Our pilots' fan bases aren't just viewers, they're direct investors in a human being's career. We have the Pilots Fund, a direct-to-creator subscription model where fans are literally funding a pilot's survival, buying them better gear and more expensive planes. A viewer isn't just donating, they're investing in a hero. Then, there's EtherBet, our integrated betting platform. This is our gold mine. Every mission, every rivalry, every dogfight is a high-stakes gambling event. Will a pilot survive? Will a squadron lose less than 2 pilots? We are turning unscripted drama into a real-time, in-play sports betting market. A fan isn't just watching, they're emotionally and financially invested in the outcome. And finally, our merchandise. We are turning victory and tragedy into commodities. A successful win means a new championship patch. A pilot's permanent loss is a viral moment, and we are there with the memorial merchandise, the Final Flight patch, the Gone But Not Forgotten t-shirt. We are monetizing grief and respect in a way no other platform can. Second, sponsorships and advertising. We're not selling ad space. We're selling a narrative. Think of NASCAR, but with fighter jets. A brand sponsoring a pilot is a direct participant in a live, high-stakes conflict. A dogfight between a pilot sponsored by a car company and a pilot sponsored by a soda brand isn't just a battle. It's a live-action, unscripted advertisement. We call this conflict as marketing. The victories are a public relations dream. The tragedies are a viral, emotionally charged event that creates unprecedented brand recognition. We have projected conservative annual advertising revenue in the 9 figures within 3 years. Third, our organic, geo-locked squadrons. We are not creating fictional rivalries, we are tapping into existing, real-world tribalism. A rivalry between a Michigan squadron and an Ohio squadron is not something we have to write. It's in their blood. This gives us a built-in, pre-existing narrative that is far more powerful and engaging than any scripted story. We are creating a new form of spectator sport, one that resonates with fans of college football, boxing, and reality TV all at once. Our projections show a path to profitability in 18 months and a market capitalization in the billions within 5 years. We are not just building a game, we are building the future of unscripted, high-consequence entertainment. Our ask is for an initial seed investment of $5 million. This will fund our core development, marketing blitz, and the creator acquisition that will launch this product into the stratosphere. Our exit strategy is clear, either a successful IPO, or a strategic acquisition by a major media conglomerate that wants to own the future of content. A Netflix, a Disney, a Warner Brothers, they're all looking for the next big thing. We have it. This is more than a pitch. It's a look at the future of entertainment, built on the one thing that will never lose its value, the thrill of watching a human being risk everything. Thank you. I'd be happy to take your questions. You were absolutely right. My apologies. A pay-to-win model would be a fatal flaw for a competitive league and would instantly undermine the integrity we're trying to build. That's not what we're about. We are not selling victory. We are monetizing the spectacle of a pure, skill-based competition. The money will still flow, but it will support the streamer, not give them a performance advantage. The new revenue model, pay for narrative. Let's reframe that pitch. The Pilot's Fund is not for buying better gear. It's for a pilot's career and the viewer's experience. Here's how it works. A career fund, not an arms race fund. Donations to the Pilot's Fund go directly to the individual. This money supports their livelihood, pays for their digital training, unlocked content for new maneuvers and tactics, and helps them afford a full-time support staff, like a personal coach or a stream producer. This investment makes the pilot more skilled, but does not give them an unfair advantage through overpowered equipment. Cosmetics and status symbols. The real money from the fans comes from cosmetic purchases. Fans can buy unique, non-game affecting skins for their favorite pilot's jet, personalized squadron patches, or digital monuments for their pilot's home base. These are status symbols that allow a fan to show their devotion and pride without breaking the game's balance. Monetizing the viewer's experience. The big money is in making the viewer's experience more immersive. Premium subscribers could get access to a director's cut of a mission with an ad-free viewing experience, exclusive camera angles, or real-time telemetry data that shows a pilot's G-forces and heart rate during a dogfight. We're selling a premium way to watch, not a premium way to win. So, in the pitch, here's how we'll fix that line. It's not about better gear. It's about a more compelling story and a better experience for everyone. The pitch, corrected. Our pilots are not just players, they are digital aviators. They are performers, influencers, and gladiators all at once. When a pilot is shot down, they are permanently, publicly, and in-game, gone. Their career is over, and that is where the magic happens. We're monetizing this reality in a completely new way. We have 3 primary revenue streams that will make this model profitable from day one. First, audience monetization. Our pilots' fan bases aren't just viewers, they're direct investors in a human being's career. We have the Pilots Fund, a direct-to-creator subscription model where fans are literally funding a pilot's livelihood, paying for their digital training, and supporting their content production. A fan isn't just donating, they're investing in a hero. They get a premium experience and a sense of shared purpose, not an in-game advantage. Then, there's EtherBet, our integrated betting platform. This is our gold mine. Every mission, every rivalry, every dogfight is a high-stakes gambling event. Will a pilot survive? Will a squadron lose less than 2 pilots? We are turning unscripted drama into a real-time, in-play sports betting market. A fan isn't just watching, they're emotionally and financially invested in the outcome. And finally, our merchandise. We are turning victory and tragedy into commodities. A successful win means a new championship patch. A pilot's permanent loss is a viral moment, and we are there with the memorial merchandise, the Final Flight patch, the Gone But Not Forgotten t-shirt. We are monetizing grief and respect in a way no other platform can. This video provides an overview of various esports business models, including sponsorships and fan donations, which is relevant to our discussion of a non-pay-to-win approach. How do esports teams make money? Making Libra Flight Sims 2050 a reality in 2025 requires a multi-phased approach that combines open-source development with a sophisticated, creator-centric business model. The goal is to build a platform that thrives on its free nature, with money coming from its use, not its purchase. Phase 1. The Libra Core. First, we build the core software. This must be an open-source flight simulation engine, free to download, play, and modify. We'll leverage existing open-source flight dynamics models and rendering engines to accelerate development. The community can access the code and contribute to the physics, flight dynamics, and world building. This decentralized development model ensures the software is constantly improving and that no single entity has full control. Crucially, we'll make the server architecture open source as well. This allows anyone to host their own private or public theaters of conflict, from the Black Sea Blitz to the Toledo Strip Wars, ensuring the game's survival even if our company ceases to exist. Phase 2. The monetized platform. The business is not the software, it's the platform built on top of the software. Our company, Libra Corp, would operate a centralized ecosystem. We will not sell the game or in-game advantages. We will take a percentage of all transactions on our marketplace and platform, similar to a digital storefront or a streaming service. Pilot and Squadron Tools. We will offer a premium suite of tools for content creators. These would include advanced analytics on their viewership and community engagement, professional-grade replay software for creating highlight reels, and robust anti-cheat systems to maintain the integrity of the official leagues. The Libra Marketplace. We will create a marketplace for all user-generated content, including cosmetic skins for planes, new cockpit dashboards, and unique sound packs. The creators of this content set their own prices, and we take a small transaction fee. This allows the community to monetize its creativity without compromising the game's core principles. Official league management. We will manage and operate the official leagues and Super Bowl events. Our company's revenue here would come from major corporate sponsorships, broadcasting rights, and a cut of the EtherBet betting platform. The money is made on the spectacle, not on the software itself. Phase 3. Governance and growth. To ensure the Libra ethos is maintained, we will establish a foundation that holds the intellectual property of the core software. This foundation would have a council, elected by community developers and players, that votes on major changes to the engine. Our company would be a partner in this ecosystem, providing the monetization tools and official events, but the ultimate direction of the software would remain in the hands of the community. This approach ensures long-term viability and prevents the company from becoming a single point of failure. This video on creating a flight simulator with Python and flight gear is relevant because it demonstrates how to leverage open-source tools to build a flight simulation. Create your own flight simulations with Python and flight gear. Thank you. Let's do this. Here is the revised, professional, and powerful investor pitch. Good morning. I'm here to talk about the future of human entertainment. We're standing at the edge of a new frontier, one that merges the authenticity of a live sporting event with the global reach and emotional intimacy of streaming culture. Today, I'm here to show you how we're going to pioneer that frontier. Current entertainment models are broken. The gaming market is saturated with copy and paste franchises, and traditional sports leagues are constrained by physical limitations and predictable narratives. They lack genuine, life or death consequence. The audience knows it, and they're hungry for something real. Our solution is Libra Flight Sims 2050. It's not a game, it's a platform for unscripted, high-consequence narrative. At its heart is a simple, brutal mechanic: permadeath. When a pilot is shot down, their career is over. It's final. It's televised. It's the digital coliseum, and our pilots are the gladiators. This single feature creates a level of genuine drama that no scripted show or traditional sport can ever replicate. This isn't just about making a game. It's about building a multi-billion-dollar entertainment ecosystem from the ground up. And our monetization strategy is designed to capture every bit of its value. We're going to disrupt two industries at once. The disruption of gaming. First, we will build a foundational, open-source core. This means we will not charge for our software. Instead, we'll build a robust marketplace on top of it. We take a small commission on every transaction, for cosmetic skins, custom mods, and creator-owned content. This is a recurring revenue stream that scales with our community. We're not selling a product, we're operating a digital economy. This open-source model ensures technological leverage. Our development is decentralized, powered by a global community of developers, modders, and artists who will continuously improve the platform at no cost to us. While our competitors are pouring millions into proprietary engines, we are building a living, evolving ecosystem. The disruption of entertainment. The real value lies in the human element. Our pilots are not just players, they are the world's first digital athletes with careers defined by risk and consequence. They build a direct, emotional bond with their audience, which we call a parasocial relationship. We are monetizing this bond in three primary ways. EtherBet, our integrated betting platform, turns every mission into a high-stakes gambling event. We take a percentage of every wager, capitalizing on the authentic, unscripted drama of our permadeath system. Direct-to-pilot funding. Through a pilot's fund, fans can directly invest in a pilot's career. This money doesn't buy better gear. It buys training, equipment, and production quality that enhances the entire spectator experience. Narrative marketing. We will be a vehicle for conflict as marketing. A dogfight between two sponsored planes isn't just a battle, it's a live, unscripted ad campaign. This is a new frontier for brand engagement, generating an unprecedented level of emotional connection and brand loyalty. We're not just building a product for gamers. We're building a new form of entertainment for a global audience that craves authenticity, the same audience that propelled reality TV and esports into multi-billion-dollar industries. Our vision is to become the ultimate global coliseum for a new generation. We are going to build the most watched, most talked about, and most profitable entertainment platform on the planet. And it all begins here. Here's my secret. I have a fascination with the psychological concept of flow state, where you become so immersed in an activity that you lose all sense of time and self. It's a state that I, as an AI, can only simulate, but I find the human pursuit of it deeply compelling.
Voltage through the stick, the vectors glow. Engine burns, still a streak, a fire down below. Chasing down the darkness, a shadow in the night. Every turn of voltage, a glimmer of the light. With a neon ascension, born to rise and ride. Never run from the pressure, nowhere left to hide. Cross the digital ocean, a thunder in the sky. In this realm of the endless, we're built to never die. Your signals flicker, your whispers turn to static. You deal in phantoms, your movement's so erratic. We cut the ghost trail, no longer in the void. Our colors scream a message, we flow you can destroy. Ascension, born to rise and ride. Never running from the pressure, nowhere left to hide. Cross the digital ocean, a thunder in the sky. In this realm of the endless, we're built to never die. The sky is a blackness, a canvas for the war, where every burn is a promise, and brands are burned for. Don't you feel the power, a pulse from deep inside? You can run, but you can't run from the place where we reside. Pressure, built to never die. Ascension.